What is up, everyone, and welcome to another episode, another collaboration between our good friends. We got Nickel City Mafia, Jake and I. I'm Mike Thornton. That's Jake Podger. We got Sean Kula, the coolest man around from the Red, White, and Bills. And we got Brett McDurphy from the Go Bills podcast. This is the second of many shows that we're going to bring you leading up to the draft. We started this series last week. We started with the offensive guards. And this week, we're going to talk about offensive tackles. What we're going to do here while we got free agency kicking off in less than 3 weeks. So while we can, we're also going to bring you some free agent targets around the offensive tackle as well. So we'll give you some free agent tackles, some draft tackles, and then at the very end, we'll do a fun little 4-round mock draft, which is a lot of fun. We had fun with that last week. This group here, we started with the offense because I believe in when it goes around to you guys, you can kind of let me know if I'm off track here. But we're firm believers that this offense needs to improve. We got to get better weapons, better support for Josh Allen. I know a lot of folks are on the other side of it saying, yeah, we still need to invest in our defense. I'm not a big believer there. Yes, you don't want to let it go to hell, so to speak. Whoa, I swore. Dollar in the can for me. But if you want to help your defense, put a better offense out there. Don't put up 10 points in a divisional game, right? 10 points, going 3 and out back to back to start that game. So you want to help your defense, get a better offense. So let's go. We're gonna kick it off here, and I'll let the guys introduce. I'll introduce them as we go around, but we're gonna get right into it with some free agent targets. Let's go. Boom. Here we go. We got some big names on the board here, and we got some diamonds in the rough, I think. And we're going to start big. We're going to go to Jake talking about Mike McGlinchey. Talk to me, Jake, about Mike.
This is definitely a pipeline dream type thing, but I felt like it needed to be addressed at least because this is a guy that I think everyone would be blessed to somehow acquire in free agency. He's going to be wanting a lot of money, so there is that factor. But we were talking a little bit about it today, the fact of whether we pay Tremaine Edmunds or do we let him walk? Do we let Jordan Poyer walk and then put our money into, I guess you could say, the offense? And how does it start, Mike? It starts with the offensive line, right? This is what makes everything go. So Mike McGlinchey is a guy that, like I said, probably a pipeline dream. But if there's a way to figure it out and there's a way to get him on this team, I think it's a beautiful fit, especially at the right tackle position. He's a natural fit there. He played alongside one of the best offensive lines in football. The guy's a really good pass blocker. He's cousins with Matt Ryan, fun fact, and he's a former first-round pick for the 49ers. He's done a really nice job coming into the league. He's been in the league since 2018 now. He's been a really, really solid player for them, for the 49ers, over the past 5 seasons now. And let me tell you, it would be pretty incredible to bring a guy like that to the Bills. I think he's very physical. He's very technical. Extremely technique-oriented. He played on that Notre Dame offensive line with Quentin Nelson and a bunch of other guys. And, he's very well coached. He is, I guess, your prototype as a right tackle. And I think it's a great fit. You don't lose any height. He's 6'8", Mike. He's basically the same height as Spencer Brown. And I'll tell you what, it would be a really nice get for the Bills. The only problem is they're probably going to have to pay upwards of 14, 15 million around there. I really do think it's going to be a big deal for Mike McGlinchey in order to get this young man on the team. So in my opinion, it's probably not going to happen, but I felt like it needed to be addressed just because he's probably the top right tackle prospect in free agency right now.
Yeah, I think I was seeing on Spot Track he was market value is going to be around 15 million a year, and he's probably a 4-year deal. Right. And he was my original target, Jake, and I have a comment on this, but I did want to ask you. You kind of answered my question. I was going to ask you if getting McGlinchey meant not re-signing Edmunds. Are you okay with that? And you said, I don't think you said you'd be okay with it, but would you be?
So now with the release of Bobby Wagner, and you look at some of these other linebackers around the league, Bobby Okereke is being another name that's been thrown around. I think there are players, obviously you're going to lose a little bit just because Tremaine is a freak of nature. He takes away the middle of the field, especially in this defense. He does such a good job at that. But there are guys that are serviceable, that are better than what we have on this roster in terms of, the backups that we have that would replace Tremaine Edmunds. So if it meant signing Mike McGlinchey, letting Tremaine walk, but finding a good substitute for him, whether it be in the draft or maybe you find a veteran free agent that's looking to win a ring, such as Bobby Wagner. I know he's going to probably still want a little bit of money because he's still good. I would be okay with it. And it's hard for me to say that because I've been on the Tremaine Edmonds train. I said out of all the big names and between him and Jordan Poyer, you got to bring him back. We're not changing the defense anytime soon, but I would be okay with it if we did go after Mike McGlinchey. And that, like I said, it's hard for me to say that. Now, there are some pretty good draft prospects as well, but I mean, to get a guy that's already been in the league for a few years, has established himself as one of the better right tackles in the league and is worth the money, in my opinion, I think it's a no-brainer. Also, gotta mention a few things about him. Tough, gritty player, wears number 69, which I absolutely love that. Nice one-bar face mask. He's got the cowboy collar. He's everything you want in an offensive lineman. He just does his job. He gets to work. He doesn't look for, the glory or anything like that. He is a grinder out there. So I think it'd be an awesome signing for the Bills. But again, probably a pipeline dream.
Let me throw the same question to Sean. Sean, what's your thoughts if it meant not re-signing Edmonds to get McGlinchey? What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, I would absolutely do it because we've seen year in and year out now with the new NFL, defense doesn't win championships anymore because the Mahomes and the Hurts and the Burrows, they're all going to put up points regardless. So there's not going to be a 13-10 Super Bowl or anything like that. So if you can, optimize your offense to be against any defense rather than having a bottom of the barrel offensive line trying to compete with a great defense, then you're in trouble. So do I like Tremaine Edmonds? Yes. But we always talk about, Jay Spence mentioned it last time. He talked to Lorenzo. That's the defense the Bills run with their middle linebacker playing basically like a safety net. That's like, it's wasting away not only his potential, but it doesn't really do anything for us. Like, yeah, he's good in the back, like with his big body, but you need a linebacker that's going to destroy holes and destroy players, like not just stand back and wait for blocks and wait for players to run at you 7 yards off the line of scrimmage. That doesn't do anything for you. He's not even that good in coverage. He got his first interception in like 5 years. He usually drops them. So if you had to ask me, would I rather have like a top 5 offensive tackle to go with the offense we got? I'm picking that all day because, like I said, if your offense is scoring massive amounts of points and you lose a good player on defense, more oftentimes than not, you're going to win those games anyway. But again, I like Tremaine Edmonds, but I just think we need a better offensive line if we want to even think about competing for even an AFC championship now, not let alone a Super Bowl. We need to really get, because again,
we haven't gotten to the AFC championship in 2 years now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The wide receivers we have, they struggle with separation and getting open. And when they do get open, you got Gabe Davis who drops the ball 50% of the time. If you have a better offensive line, it gives Josh more than 1.5 seconds to do all of his progressions. He's got to do 5 progressions basically in a matter of less than 2 seconds and then make a decision and avoid getting hit all at the same time. Like, it really affects our game. So definitely 100% I would let between Edmonds and McGlinchey or any great offensive tackle, I would pick the offensive tackle.
Well, I think you put it this way too. I mean, you look at that Bengals game. If Mike McGlinchey's our right tackle in that game, and you look at the impact that both those guys would make on the game, it was the offensive side of the ball where we really struggled. I mean, defensive side, it's like we could have let up 30-some-odd points, but if you're only scoring 10, I mean, you got to score points, plain and simple. You give Josh some time to throw the football. I think it would have been an insane difference maker for us to have a guy like Mike McGlinchey on that offensive line as compared to Spencer Brown, and I think it's a more glaring need, to be honest with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I completely agree with you guys. I think that with having Mike McGlinchey, who he's been an anchor for the 49ers for years, he pretty much was the focal point to Kyle Juszczyk as well as Christian McCaffrey. And he had an incredible influence on how Christian McCaffrey came to San Francisco, had success. And then before Christian McCaffrey with Jeff Wilson as well as the other running backs that they've had. And I think, all the guys that they've had, he's had success with them. And he's also a great pass blocker as well. His numbers are perfect with PFF. He's a 71.5 overall grade. I think that matches exactly what Buffalo needs to look for in an offensive tackle. And I know the market is very hot. It's going to be probably $16 million that he's going to sign for. But this is a move that Brandon Beane has to go after because you have to protect your franchise quarterback. That's one thing we have to do, and we haven't done a good job of that in the past few years.
I love that, Brett. I think too. Sorry, Mike. I know you're going to go here. I just want one more thing to say about him. I think one nice thing about him is that he can play in multiple schemes. He could put a hat on a hat when he needs to, but he does very well in the zone scheme as well. So I think just having the ability to do both is awesome, man. So yeah, that's about it for Mike McGlinchey, I think. What do you think, Mike?
All right. Well, I'm actually surprised. Brett, did you answer the question? You're okay because you're a big proponent of signing Edmonds and Poyer. You want both of them back. Are you okay with letting both of them go if you get a guy like McGlinchey?
I think there's a strategic move that the Bills could do. And I'm just going to throw it out there, but there's a lot of restructures that the Bills could go after. I know we're about $18 million over the cap space, according to Over the Cap, but there's been some reports as well where the Bills might be about like 13 to 14 million over the cap. So I think that there's some restructures that the Bills could do where you can move some money around with Von Miller as well as Tre'Davious White, Stephon Diggs. There's a few other deals. Release guys like Mitch Morse, probably re-sign some candidates like re-signing Taron Johnson, Matt Milano to an extension as well. And there's a few other pieces like Ed Oliver where you can save some money. And I think that this is a move where Brandon Beane very well could move some money around, re-sign Tremaine, re-sign Jordan Poyer, and have money for Mike McGlinchey as well. So imagine if Buffalo was able to do that. I mean, it's going to be tough, don't get me wrong, but I would love to see it happen. But, I mean, that's going to involve moving about probably $40-50 million in cap space. So hopefully we can see it happen. But
if Brandon Beane gets that done, let's put a crown on that man's head because that would be unbelievable. And speaking of crown, I know Ray John Bills, you came in here a little bit earlier here and just saying rumors flying about, swirling about Derrick Henry coming to the Bills via trade. That would be something. But you do need an O-line to block for the guy because if you don't have an O-line, not going to get much done.
Well, remember, Brett, all that restructuring, all that does is screw us over in the next few years. So I would rather let those kind of guys leave so we have a chance and opportunity to be good for a long time, like the 49ers, like the Patriots were, like the Chiefs are. I don't want to be like the Rams. And I said this when they won, too. The Rams sold out just to win that one ring, and now they're going to be in the basement for the next 10 years. And that's what they're going to do. I'd rather not be like that. We struggled for 20 years. I don't want to have a 5-year run of being good and then win one Super Bowl and then fall off a cliff again for the next 20 years. Like the Nationals did. We were good for over 10 years, always making the playoffs, going kind of far. We won the World Series. We overpaid for 2 people. Then we lost everybody. And then ever since 2019, we've been in the basement. 100 lost seasons, and it stinks watching. So
like
the championship.
Yeah,
I've loved the Nationals since 2005, and I can tell you that even though we won the championship, now it doesn't mean anything really because you've been so bad for so long. It just kind of takes away the amazingness right now. But it was great when it happened, but now when you're so bad, and I want to avoid that. So I don't want to deal with all this backdated money for people because then all that does is screws over the next once Beane gets fired. It just screws over the next GM and the next coaching staff with no picks and no money. And they're just prolonging their job. They're protecting their job for as long as they can. And then when it hits the fan, they don't care anymore. So I don't want any of that restructure and mess. I just want to do the right thing. And if you got to let someone like Edmonds walk to provide a better future, then I'd do that every time.
Yeah, it's also going to be tough too. I know, like you said, Sean, I think the days of having a dynasty like the Patriots had, I know it's going to be tough, but Tom Brady took a lot of money off the table for the Patriots, and he signed for $20-25 million a season, which is unheard of for a quarterback to do that. But he signed those team-friendly deals, in order for the Patriots to have so much success. But it's going to be tough right now. And you have to think about, is it time for the Bills just to win that one Super Bowl, like we're saying, or is it time for, to have a long run? And many people are probably going to say the one Super Bowl that they want. So it's something that you have to think about as well. But I don't think that we're going to have a dynasty for 20 years to come. There's going to be a time where there's going to be a year where Josh Allen isn't Josh Allen, the team isn't the same, and we're going to be back in the basement of the AFC East. But having success for 5-6 years is incredible. I'm happy for it. But we have to also think ahead to where we could be in 4 or 5 years, which potentially could be the bottom of the basement, which I don't think we will ever get to, because I really like Sean McDermott as well as Brandon Beane. But that's something that you have to think about in the future too.
Yeah, and just hitting on some of these points too. So
I love that comment, Timmy.
Yeah, Timmy, I agree with what you're saying there. Now, Spencer Brown, he is a very good run blocker, Dad. By the way, shout out to my parents. My dad does a fish fry, so it's Lent now. So he does a fish fry every Friday. He catches walleye throughout the year. Basically all summertime he's out fishing, right? So we have Lake Erie right over here. He catches a ton of walleye. He does a great fish fry, the best I've ever had in my life. He does this Cajun seasoning, Mike. I don't know what your fish fry looks like over there, but if you come to Buffalo, I know you said maybe March, we'll get you hooked up with a good one, because it is it's unreal. It's second to none. I'm telling you right now, highly recommend. But yeah, so I actually just left from there. I was over there. They were playing cards, and we were doing some Buffalo Trace over there, which was great. So apparently he's saying he sent everyone home to watch the show, which is awesome. Which is hilarious.
Big Al's always been one of the biggest supporters, so love it that he's done that. Good to see you out there, Timmy, as well.
That's great.
And Rage on Bills.
But,
and also, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, Spencer Brown is a very good run blocker, but I think the only thing that does worry me about kicking him inside to guard, he's very tall, he plays very high. So I think he's a good run blocking right tackle, but I don't know if guard is the right switch for him. That's my only thing. So maybe you keep him on the team, obviously play him as a backup. It's good that he's, still on the team. I think you could put him in as an extra blocker or something like that, but moving him over to guard, I don't know if it's actually a good fit necessarily.
Right. So I agree.
Last thing, Mike, before you if you're going to talk, go ahead. I thought you were going to move on.
I'm not moving on yet. I was just going to respond to some of the things you guys have said. I do not think Beane is going to be able to work some magic and be able to sign a guy like McGlinchey. By the way, am I saying his name right? I don't want to disrespect him.
That's
okay.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think he'll be able to sign a guy like McGlinchey, Edmonds, and Poyer. I don't think that could possibly happen, especially when you consider all the other free agents that are out there that we have to sign. We've got something like 24, 23 free agents that played on our team last year. We got to fill those holes, right? Another thing too, Jake and I have had this conversation. Sean, I disagree with you a little bit. If I can get a Super Bowl this year or next year, I'm good with it. I don't care if we struggle for another 10, 15 years. I can finally say we have a Super Bowl. And I witnessed it before I died. I'm getting older, man. I want this thing. I want it to happen now. So I'm good with that. The last thing, and I'll give it over to you, Sean. Give it back to you. Is that McGlinchey was my target originally. I was excited. I'm like, I'm going to talk about McGlinchey. I started doing my research, started reading some articles. 49er fans have not been happy with McGlinchey. With the first rounder comes a lot of expectations, right? And I don't think he's met the expectations of a lot of their fans. If you look at his PFF, yes, he's got good scores, but if you go deeper into that, his run blocking has suffered. I'm sorry, not his run blocking. His pass blocking scores are much lower than his run blocking. And that concerns me for a guy that you're going to be paying 15, 16 million. I watched a few film as well on YouTube of this guy. And seeing him whiff on a few plays, he reminded me of Spencer Brown. I'm like, my God, we already have that right now. We have that. Why would I pay this guy $16 million? So my only concern is I'm cool with not signing Edmonds for a guard for a tackle like this. I'm just concerned he'd come in at $16 million and disappoint us. I just think he, based on what I've seen, what I've read, and some film that I've watched.
That's fair, Mike.
Back to you, Sean. Sorry.
Yeah. I was just going to say, like when people say that Brown's a great run blocker, And Brett looked up year one, he was a 76, which is really good, but then it dipped all the way to 53 in year two. And I don't think he was dominant enough in the run game to warrant get the credit given of he's a great run blocker. He wins once in a while, and most of the time he wins off of picking out a cornerback or a safety, which that doesn't impress me at all. I could knock over all the safeties in the NFL probably. If I was in my prime shape like a couple years ago, I probably could have. But when you watch him line up against people his size, it's just a waste. And I like, what Jake said, maybe put him in on a heavy package. But
yeah,
I told you guys off air earlier, if he's starting right tackle for us next year, we didn't do enough and we didn't do the right things in the offseason or the draft. So keep him as a backup, sure. If the people want to give him a third chance after his no offseason that the last year. But it's just his technique and everything else is just so flawed and he doesn't improve at all. So, when you miss an offseason, okay, I'll give you a few weeks. I'll give you even 7 or 8 weeks. But after that 8 weeks, when you're in game mode, you've been starting since week 2 or week 3, I expect you to be at least improving by near the end. And I don't think he did that, in my opinion. So maybe give him the Bobby Hart role this year. Draft or pick up a good free agent tackle. Make Spencer Brown and Tommy Doyle the swing tackles or put them in on heavy packages or whatever. And then see how that works, because Bobby Hart didn't do too bad in his 10 snaps in a game. So maybe Brown would actually be more of a beneficial player in a situation like that. But I'm happy we're talking about Brown replacements. That's my happiest day.
I knew we'd be stuck on McGlinchey for a while because he would be such a high paid offensive tackle. So it's a great conversation. Jake, I know you had something more you wanted to say and I cut you off. Sorry.
No, it's all good. I was laughing because I was just thinking of what Sean was saying too, saying that he'd trade Spencer Brown for a 2048 pick or something like that in the chat, which is hysterical. No, I think another thing too you got to consider, the 49ers have the best left tackle in football right now in Trent Williams. So, I think a lot of times it's natural to compare the left side to the right side. And when you have a guy as dominant as Trent Williams, who is a first ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt about it. I mean, he is one of the most athletic left tackles to ever play this game. For the size he is and how fast he gets out in front and for what he does, it is unreal. Just do yourself a favor. If you don't have anything to do, just turn on some Trent Williams highlights. It is a thing of beauty. It's like a symphony. It is absolutely gorgeous. As a guy that appreciates the offensive line, and Sean, I'm sure you love it too. I mean, it's tough when you look at Trent Williams and how good he is. Mike McGlinchey is very good, but Trent Williams is like another level higher. So I think that's another thing that's probably stuck in those 49ers fans' heads as they see Trent Williams going out there and dominating. And it's like, well,
yeah, that's true.
Why isn't my right tackle doing the same thing? And I think it's very hard to find a close comparison, for the elite offensive lines where the left tackle and right tackle are almost at the same. There's very few offensive lines that have that. I think the Eagles might be one of them. Maybe the Chiefs back in, a couple of years ago when they had Mitchell Schwartz, but it's very rare to see that. So I think that's one thing to also keep in mind.
That's a great point, Jake.
Another thing to keep in mind is the 49ers had an excellent backup to Mike McGlinchey last year, who filled in for him in Tom Compton. And he did an excellent job filling in, and I think he's going to be the complement of Mike McGlinchey, and I think McGlinchey will go elsewhere because I don't think that John Lynch is going to want to spend so much money on McGlinchey. The other thing you have to factor in is McGlinchey over the past few seasons has been injured. He had a knee injury in 2019, and then in 2021, he had a torn quadricep. So that's something you have to factor in his market value as well, because, I mean, I believe he's 29, is that correct? Or 28. And he's still young, but if you give him a contract worth 5 years, towards the end of that 5 years, is he going to get injured again? That's something that you have to look into. So paying a guy $15-16 million a year and potentially he lasts 3 years and you signed him for guaranteed $60 million, that's a lot of money to think about.
That's fair.
As long as the Chiefs, the Dolphins, or the Jets don't get a guy like him, then if we don't get him, as long as he's not with those 3 teams, he can go anywhere.
That's right. Yeah, and then another guy too. He's a left tackle, Orlando Brown, going to be a free agent. So it's kind of interesting. You think of the Chiefs, what they're going to do in free agency. So not sure if they're trying to find that heir to Mitchell Schwartz right now, but they got some dogs up front, man. They've done a really nice job with that. But wanted to point out a point here. Point out a point that Timmy has about Spencer Brown, just in terms of being a small school prospect. I think Timmy and Sean you guys are going to be best friends tonight because you guys are agreeing on a lot of these. Yeah. Look at that. That's a very good point, Tim. I think it is something to be said about these small school prospects that come out. I love them. I think they are. You can find diamonds in the rough. I mean, there are guys that have come out of these very small schools and have been awesome. And there's some Hall of Fame guys that have even done it, But overall, when you look at it, especially with Bills draft history, typically the better offensive linemen have at least been at a 1A school or higher.
Yeah.
So, or 1A school in general, or a Power 5 school in 1A, if you will. Spencer Brown, obviously 1AA FCS guy, and obviously had some developing to do. Kind of a raw prospect. I think this year is the year you have to go with a guy that's just pro ready, and you try to find a guy like that in each round if possible.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, if you bet the over on our show,
we're already almost there.
Going over 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Easy money for you. Easy money.
Are we going to move to Vegas now?
Yeah.
We should, but no. The next person we're going to talk about, high risk, high reward. We're gonna go to Mr. Sean Kula. His target is Taylor Lewan. Talk to us, Sean.
When I first saw his post about possibly leaving the Titans, I was like, wow, this could be a huge opportunity for the Buffalo Bills because he has had injury concerns the last couple of years, and he's not going to be looking for a massive contract because he's already passed his massive contract years. The only thing that does concern me is he's never played right tackle. He's only played left tackle. So this might not happen, but we saw how expensive all these right tackles are for a top tier offensive tackle. But let me just run through the numbers of his PFF scores from when he was a rookie, both pass blocking and run blocking up until now, and you're going to be astonished about how great he's been compared to anyone that we could have possibly had in our team. So for pass blocking, rookie year, 78, then 82, 85, 84, 79, 82, then he had 55, 71, 79. Our best lineman probably had a 50 or 60 pass blocking grade the last couple of years. And this is consistent, elite. In the 80s is elite tier, 80s and 90s for pass blocking. Now run blocking, 87, 66, 87, 74, 76, 73, 61, 70, 67. Granted, the last couple of years he hasn't played a full season. But the other great stat I saw was in his career, he led up 26 sacks in 3,410 pass attempts. That's like less than a 1%. It's like 0.0007% in his career. And, he's the guy that people want Spencer Brown to be, that dog with the big attitude, but this guy actually backs it up. People hate him because of how he talks on the field, but then he'll back it up on the field. Spencer Brown doesn't do that. Taylor Lewan is what you would want in your offensive lineman with an attitude. And I know he's 31, he'll be 32 when the season starts. I can't imagine him demanding more than $7 or $8 million. And again, I don't know if he's played right tackle in college or he can make that switch from left to right because it is different. But his whole career has been at the left side. So I think you should at least bring him in. Could Dawkins even play right tackle? Could Dawkins make the switch over to right tackle if they did bring a guy like Lewan in? But I think if you bring a guy like Taylor Lewan in, he remains healthy, you automatically change the dynamic of this team because then, Dawkins is obviously very reliable for the most part. Then you solidify the edges. Then you worry about the inside, and then we're getting somewhere. But just to keep it short, I think he'd be a great fit to the team and it'd be on a cheaper price tag. And again, the only concern I have is that, well, besides the injuries, but you can't. That's the risk you have to take with players because anybody can get injured anytime, whether you're injury prone or not. But just because he's never played right tackle in the NFL, that'd be the only reason why I was a little bit concerned. But I was super excited to hear he got released and he could be on the market. But we'll see.
Yeah, I actually love that, Sean. I mean, like I said, high risk, high reward. For me, it would really depend on what that price tag is going to be. But Jake, and then I'll go to you, Brett. Jake, your thoughts on Taylor Lewan?
Number one thing with Taylor Lewan that he would bring to this offensive line is attitude. And I think a lot of people are still salty about his beef that he had with Jerry Hughes and, the battles that he's had with some of our defensive linemen over the years, because it seems like we always play the Titans for whatever reason. Okay. And, I think people need to put that aside because this is a guy that can come in immediately and contribute. And I think the right move is to play him at left tackle, move Deion Dawkins over to right tackle, because we've already seen some of the flaws that Deion Dawkins has. I think he is more versatile. He's played a little bit of guard as well, too. So I think right tackle wouldn't be as dramatic of a switch for Deion Dawkins as it would be Taylor Lewan. I think you use that height of 6'7", play him at left tackle, get Josh a good, solid player there. I think pass blocking is one of the biggest things and one of the most important things to consider when signing an offensive lineman, and Taylor Lewan's one of the best in the league at that. So I would love to see it happen. I think attitude is huge. He would absolutely change the entire mentality of the offensive line. Probably would be a package deal, too. I mean, we get busted with the boys here in Buffalo. Maybe playoff Willie comes and signs with the Bills. Any team Will Compton seems to sign with goes to the playoffs, so they call him playoff Willie for a reason. So I would absolutely love the move. I think, obviously, price is something to be considered, but at this point in his career, being 31 years old, he does want to win a ring. He's been close a few times, and he deserves one. So I'm willing to bet that he would take a little bit of a cut, if it were – to be a Super Bowl team or contender team like us.
I love it. Brett, what do you think it's going to take to sign a Taylor Lewan, and what's your thoughts on him?
I think it's going to take about what the market value that we've said, about $6 to $8 million for the market value. But I mean, Jake and Sean said it best. The biggest thing is he's going to bring an attitude to Buffalo. I do think that Taylor Lewan could potentially be a right tackle for Buffalo. I like what Deion Dawkins has done over the past few years at left tackle. So I'd love to see us moving Lewan over to right tackle. And I think the biggest thing, like we've said, is the Bills need to find some identity with somebody who can come in and be aggressive, be a bully. And that's something that Buffalo hasn't had in the past few years. And when I think of Taylor Lewan, I think of the battles with Josh Norman, where on the sidelines, he's going after Josh Norman, and Norman's throwing his helmet at him. I remember that game. And I think about the Bills games and how much we battled him. But the one thing I will say, a little bit of criticism on Taylor Lewan is he is aggressive, but he's not that bully off the field. He won't, if somebody comes after him, he kind of backs down. And that's something that I don't necessarily love in an offensive lineman, because I feel like at some point you have to back up what you're saying. And I've never seen him really back up what he's saying necessarily when it comes to his trash talking, but he won't fight. So I want to see him be a little bit more aggressive and maybe a little bit more fight. And I think maybe Buffalo is the place for him to go and be able to maybe have that first fight in the NFL. I'm just saying, guys.
He'd be a great fit here, man.
He would be a great fit. I love everything about him, and I think that he would be. I think the fans would love him more, because I think there's like a divide with the Bills. Some people like him, some people don't, and I'm one of the ones that I'm in the middle. So I just want to see him bring that toughness. I want to see him come in, and if something were to happen with Josh Allen, and I want him to be the first guy that jacks somebody up. That's what I want to see him do.
Yeah, I hold no grudges. If a guy can come over to our team and help us produce, I don't care what he did against us. I really don't. So I love that pick, Sean. Really do. And it'll be interesting to see how things pan out. Let's keep it rolling here. Let's slide over to the right for Mr. Brett McDurphy's target, Mr. Cameron Fleming.
All right, guys. I picked someone who I think is probably the least market value. And the reason why I picked him is because I was looking for a guy that had a lot of the same characteristics as Mike McGlinchey and Taylor Lewan, but wouldn't break the bank for the Bills. I think that there's some areas where we can spend money on different defensive players. And Cameron Fleming is the guy that I picked just because he's 30 years old. He's 6'5", 320 pounds, Very smart kid coming out of Stanford. He has some versatility at left tackle as well as right tackle. He's also a second-team Pac-12 player in 2013. Started his career with the Patriots. He was a fourth-round pick for the Patriots. He, in his rookie season, played in 9 games, including the playoffs. He has played in 3 Super Bowls, which is something that I think Buffalo needs to look at, is different players that can come in and they can show off their championship rings. And they can say, listen, you want to get this ring? Listen to what I say. And that's what Von Miller did. But I think about him and I think about the 3 Super Bowls he's played in. He's a 2-time Super Bowl champion in his career. He had 976 offensive snaps last season, 6 penalties, 5 quarterback hits allowed, as well as 7 sacks allowed, which is kind of a little high for me. 28 overall pressures last season. But like I said, that versatility that he can bring to the Bills, being a swing tackle, someone has a little bit more experience than a Bobby Hart, I think that he would mix in with Buffalo and be a really good fit. And he would remind me of the good old days when we had Nasecki back in the day.
Nasecki. I was just going to say, great
I was
name.
just gonna say,
Hell yeah.
He's a free agent, but he's a younger Ty Nasecki.
So comparable.
I think he would fit exactly what Buffalo needs to bring in. His overall pass grades or pass grade and run blocking grades, 74.1, as well as for the pass blocking, and a 67.8. He's played for a bunch of teams in his career. Like I said, the Patriots, played for the Broncos last season.
Giants.
Brings a lot of versatility. Played for the Giants as well. But like I said, he can move around, play different positions, and he has moved inside as well to play left guard and right guard as well. So he could potentially fill 4 different spots on the Bills. And he reminds me of a guy that's a utility player, durable guy, very smart. He can come in and just fill exactly what Buffalo needs. And he's only going to cost $2.5 million potentially.
Yeah.
2.5. That's what Spot Track's saying for what, a 1-year deal or 2-year deal?
1-year deal.
Okay.
Last season he signed for, I think it was $1.6 million. So they're increasing it a little bit. But he played for the Broncos last season, didn't have the best season overall, but I think
Started
he could come
15
in
games. Started 15 games though last year. Out of 15 potential games he could have played in. So that's, something to be said about that.
Exactly. But not a lot of injuries either. So I don't think he's been injured in the NFL in his career. So there's the versatility that he can bring.
Yeah, I love
and
that.
Durable.
High availability. Always a good thing.
Yeah.
Let me throw it to you, Jake, about Mr. Cameron Fleming.
I'll keep it short here. I think coming from success is something to be said. I talked a little bit about Cody Mauch last week from the college level, playing at North Dakota State, winning those FCS national championships. But Cam Fleming's done it at the highest level. He's won 2 Super Bowls. I think this is a guy that can come in. He can play like Ty Nasecki, can still be a very big contributor to the offensive line. And I think is technically an upgrade over Spencer Brown. So I am all for it, especially for his price range. So, Brett, that's a great pick, man, and absolutely love the points that you made.
Thanks, guys.
You have any thoughts, Sean?
Yeah. Well, don't forget, Jake. Everybody's upgrade to Spencer Brown. So definitely is.
Listen. No hate for Spencer Brown. I'm just saying, in terms when you compare the two, I do think he's a little bit better, and he's seasoned, which is even more important.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Mike said, availability is your best ability, and with offensive line, that's huge because once you miss one guy, a big ripple effect happens. And I know the Bills are obsessed with people that are jacks of all trades, master of none, but which I don't 100% love, but at least with Fleming is he's proven in his career that he can be really good. And, not like some guys that are terrible at every position they can play on the offensive line, but they can play multiple. So they value that over someone who's really good at one position. But yeah, this would be a guy where I think it'd be a situation where I believe that would be fine because he's proven he could play and play at a good level as well. So I wouldn't be mad at that, especially if it's, $2.5 million for a year. If you can't get anybody else, that's a great value.
Yeah, I agree. The more we're talking about him, the more I'm loving it. Especially at $2.5 million. I mean, let's go.
Two
All
and a
right,
half million for a two-time Super Bowl champion.
I
That's
know.
really hard to
I
find.
know.
Hell yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So him and Von Miller showing
Yep.
off those rings. I mean, love it. Well,
Now,
let's fit.
just remember, he won those rings with the Patriots, though. So, does
Oh,
that make
okay.
you happy?
That's a good
No,
point.
that doesn't make me happy. No, like I said, I don't hold grudges. If you can come to the Buffalo Bills and help us out, get that Super Bowl ring of our own, I'm all for it, man. All right, let's finish things up with my free agent tackle. I mean, originally I had McGlinchey, but I said, nah, I'll let Jake have him because I saw some flaws for that amount of money. So I went looking for a diamond in the rough. I think Brett found the best diamond in the rough, but I think I have a good one as well. Jermaine Illuminor, who played for the Vegas Raiders last year. So interesting career for this young man. He's 28 years old. He was drafted in 2017 by the Ravens in the 5th round as a guard. He played for the Ravens for 2 years as a guard. He wasn't a starting guy at all. Then he went to New England for 2 years. The first year they played him at guard. The second year they played him at right tackle. And again, he wasn't a starter in both those seasons with the Patriots. But he did a pretty good job in 2020 with the Patriots at right tackle. Then they let him go. The Raiders pick him up in 2021. And guess what? They put him back at guard. Now, he's not your prototypical tackle. He's 6'4", but he's big, 345, and his arm length is only 33 and 1/8, right? Typically, you want those offensive tackles to have 34-inch long arms or bigger, right? But he gets his break here in 2022. He gets the start for the Raiders, and this guy was fantastic at right tackle. If you look at his PFF, it's obvious. Like all his scores when he played at guard, he struggled there. He played a little bit at left tackle, didn't do too well. But whenever you look at when he played right tackle, this guy excelled. Now, SpotTrack has him at $5.5 million for a 3-year deal. I think this guy's a diamond in the rough here. I'm going to give you some numbers here. So after week 3 last year, he graded no lower than 61.4 in pass block coverage and consistently had grades in the 70s and 3 times in the 80s. Let me give you his last 7 games, last 7 weeks of the season, some teams that he went up against, as well as some big name players. So let me go through this real quick for you. Just bear with me. So in week 12, played against Seattle, 1 block, 71.8. In week 13, against the Chargers, now Joey Bosa was not available for that game, although he played Joey Bosa in week 1. And he did a pretty good job. In week 1, he had a pass blocking grade of 66.2. But in week 13 against the Chargers, 82.9. 82.9.
Wow.
In week 14 against the Patriots, and we know the Patriots have some good edge rushers there as well. In week 15, 69.8 pass blocking. Week 16 against TJ Watt, kept TJ very quiet. He had a pass blocking score of 73. Kept TJ Watt, my friends.
That was in the snow too. I mean, things can get real slippery out there. It's tough to keep your footing. That's very impressive.
Week 17, it doesn't stop there. Week 17, he goes up against Nick Bosa from the 49ers.
Wow.
He grades a 73.3 against Nick. Did
Wow.
a really good job against them. Finally, in week 18 against KC, he graded out at an 86.7. The man was on fire. I mean, you guys got to check out his PFF grades for all 17 or for all 18 weeks. He played 17 games. He got off to a slow start, but like I said, after week 3, this guy took off. So the more I watched of him, I watched some film, did a fantastic job against some of these guys that I just told you about. Absolutely love this guy. For $5.5 million, if we can't get Cameron Fleming, or if we want a guy for a little bit longer than a 1-year deal, we can get Jermaine for 3 years, $5.5 million. That's a bargain. Sign this man now. I feel he's the diamond in the rough. Anyhow, let me throw it to you, Sean. You have any thoughts on Jermaine?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really know much about this guy, Mike, until you started talking about him. And like you said, on the height size, he's a little bit small as a tackle, but he performed exceptionally well against exceptional talent this year. And yeah, the Raiders weren't that good, but if we had a right tackle getting 70s and 80s, things would have looked a lot better for us. So I love the value. He's a big man, and I love that. He finally got another opportunity. He never gave up. He stayed true to himself, and that's how you know someone's a hard worker is when things got tough. 2 years new team, 2 years new team, 1 year new team. Now you're a free agent again. So I like that. No matter what was thrown at him, he was still able to beat it all and come out and perform at a top level. So again, many people probably don't even know about this guy, but again, value's great. And if we can't get a top tier tackle in free agency, and if we miss one in the draft, which if we miss one in the draft or free agency, I'm going to be very angry. But if he's around and we somehow get him, I think that'd be a fantastic value. And I wouldn't be mad about it at all. Like you said, he got hot and he stayed hot against great people. So it wasn't a fluke. 1 time's a fluke, 2 times and 3 times, 4 times, 6 times. That's how you show that it's valid. So definitely would not be mad.
Now the Raiders they're $46 million under the cap. They got a lot of money to spend, but they're in disarray a little bit. They don't have a real quarterback right now. I don't know who's going to be quarterbacking them this year. And he's played in the snow. He played in New England, so he's played in the cold. He's getting up there. He's 28 years old. Maybe he wants a shot with to get a ring. Maybe he's okay. I think Buffalo should at least reach out to him and talk to him. Jake, your thoughts on Jermaine?
Mike, I think it's by far the most realistic potential free agent signing for the Bills. And I think this is out of anyone, out of any position. I think Jermaine Illuminor has proven his worth. I think he absolutely is a diamond in the rough. I think he'd take a chance on a guy like this, especially for, a couple million a season. I mean, shoot. I mean, right now I think they have him projected at, I think he only made $1.25 million this past year. Obviously, he'll get paid a little bit more, with his next deal here. But, he flourished against great competition. On top of that, think of who he practiced against every single day. Max Crosby and Chandler Jones and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is invaluable. And I think for him, he's at the right spot right now where he has about 4 to 5 years where he can really, move and play on top of what he played on this year, play even better, if you will. So I think it would be a great signing. I think it would be a great move for the Bills. I would love to see us get a guy like this. And I honestly think sky's the limit. Love his size at 6'4", 345. I think it's a shoe-in for us, honestly. Let's go ahead and get this young man. I'm all for it.
Love it, Jake. Brett, before we move on, your final thoughts on Jermaine?
Yeah, the biggest thing I think about with Jermaine is how humble he is. And I think that he would represent exactly what Buffalo is looking for in a right tackle. He's been around the league. He played for the New England Patriots, the Miami Dolphins, Jacksonville Jaguars, and then the Raiders. He's been pretty much honing his craft throughout his whole career. He has rode the bench when he needed to, but stepped up when he needed to as well. And I think he fits exactly what Buffalo is looking for in a right tackle. And I think that having him in Buffalo is definitely, like Sean would say, an upgrade over Spencer Brown. But as he says, everybody's an upgrade over Spencer Brown. I'm not gonna say that he's saying it, but
I mean he was 74th out of 77, so there's only 3 people.
That's tough, man.
There's only 3 people that wouldn't be an upgrade.
Right.
I do think we shouldn't give up on Spencer Brown, though. I really do. I think that he had a bad season. It's the second-year curse a little bit, but I think that there's going to be room for improvement with Spencer Brown, and he'll be back to his normal self next season. But bringing in a guy like Jermaine, I'm totally okay with. I think that the value right there with a 3-year, $16.5 million contract is exactly what Buffalo should sign him for. The only thing that concerns me is the inexperience starting. I know he started 3 games in 2021, and then last year he started a lot of games as well. Just having that number concerns me a little bit, and he could potentially, it could be a 1-year wonder for him. So that's what worries me a little bit.
Okay, that's fair. I haven't given my thoughts on Spencer Brown, so I will say this. I am not giving up on him either. Brett, I do think, Jake sold me on Aaron Kromer, right? He sold me hard last year on this guy. He let me down a little bit, but I'm saying let's give him another year under Aaron Kromer and let's see what he can do. Now, do I want him starting if we can land someone of these other guys? Absolutely not. I would love to have him work under Cromer, work under somebody else who's out there starting, and have him just back someone up. But I'm not totally saying it's time to get rid of the guy. Give him one more year. Let's see what he can do. Again, he can go out, slip out to be, if we're looking for that double tight end set, he played tight end. Let's get him out there playing some tight end. So anyhow, that's kind of a little bit of a joke, but he did play tight end. I'm not kidding you.
Yeah.
And he does do very good in the run block, although you guys brought up the PFF. He definitely, if you look at our whole offensive line as a whole, and if you like to use PFF, I know a lot of people just do not like how they grade certain folks, but if you look across our whole line, it wasn't very good. Mitch Morse was decent, and Mitch Morse should have been graded much higher. Dawkins was the only guy in the 70s. Everyone else was in the 50s, man. It was pretty bad,
40s,
50s and
30s.
60s.
Yeah,
it was pretty
rough.
bad. So I would love any of these guys, absolutely love them. And if we can't get one of these four, let's go talk about some draft targets for offensive tackles.
Great
Are you guys
segue.
ready for this?
Hell yeah. Let's do it, Mike.
Let's go. All right. Let's start off with, Brett always loves to take the top guys. I was surprised he didn't take McGlinchey, but he found, another diamond in the rough. But when it comes to the draft guys, he's been just jumping all over the top guys on the board for that position. So I'm going to throw it to Brett to talk about his guy. Dude is a beast. A beast, DeJuan Jones. Talk to us, Brett.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to go on a long rant about DeJuan Jones because he is the exact player that I want Buffalo to go after. I know in the PFF mock drafts before, they had him in the third and fourth round. Not the case anymore because he's moving up the draft boards like you would not believe. His wingspan is about 90 inches. Incredible wingspan. He's a massive beast. 6'8".
It's the largest.
375
It's the largest
pounds.
ever recorded. It's the largest ever recorded at the Senior Bowl.
Largest ever recorded, which is incredible. He's played against big teams throughout his whole entire career. He's was a two-sport athlete, playing basketball as well as football. A four-star athlete in football coming out of high school, and then a three-star athlete in basketball. He pretty much has been – I'm sorry, I lost my notes a little bit. But as a freshman, started 4 games. Hasn't allowed a ton of sacks in his career. He's someone who I think can come into Buffalo and just be the starting right tackle for a few years behind Deion Dawkins, and then transition over to the left tackle because I don't think anybody's going to go around him, and I cannot imagine going up against a refrigerator, and I think he is a refrigerator for a target. The only concerns that most people have with him is he needs to focus a little bit more on his hands. His hands are he's not so aggressive with his hands, and he needs to be more aggressive with his hands. But I think that the one thing that he does have is the toughness, and he also has the size and strength to just dismantle anybody that he's going up against. And he's been up against teams that have incredible defensive linemen. Last year, he went up against Aiden Hutchinson, held his own against Aiden Hutchinson. And I think that he's just going to be someone who his name before the draft you haven't heard of. But if you think about a guy that you want for your right tackle or your offensive line, DeJuan Jones is going to be the name that you want to hear because you're going to hear about him for years to come. I promise you that.
Yeah, I have no doubt, Brett. But tell me something. This guy's probably going to go in the top 15, easily in the top 15. What are you going to do?
I don't think so.
What's being good? You don't think so? I don't know. All the Macs I've watched, but let's just say he is once we got the what do we got coming up here at the end of the month?
The scouting combine.
Yeah, we got the combines coming up. Sorry, escaped my mind. We got the combines coming up. I think he's just gonna skyrocket even more. It's interesting that 3 of the 4 guys that we talked about are all seniors, and they were at the Senior Bowl. And most of the 3, except for my guy had an okay time at the Senior Bowl, and I'll talk about him. But my guy's a 5th round projected draft choice. Your guy's a first round, and he had a fantastic Senior Bowl, as well as Darnell Wright. We'll let Sean talk about him in a little bit. So I think they're going to have to move up the board. But let's just say this in general. For any guy that you really want, and if you have to move up the board, what are you going to do as Bean to get yourself into that position? I know we've seen your mock drafts. We love to see all the trades you're doing and all the crazy things.
I know.
How
Getting rid of Aaron
creative
Johnson.
are you going to get to move up the board for a guy like this?
Well, I actually don't think that you're going to have to move up the board to get DeJuan Jones. I think there's a couple of other characteristics that he has that kind of concern people in the draft. There's also some other really good offensive tackle prospects that are in this draft class as well. There's Broderick. I'm probably going to say his last name wrong, but Broderick Jones. That's an incredible offensive tackle that's going to potentially go in the top 15. There's a couple other guys that are ahead of him on the boards as well. But I believe right now DeJuan Jones is the 4th or 5th rated offensive tackle. Now, those numbers could go up. Like you said, he could go up to a top 15 pick. But I think that the biggest thing is Buffalo could potentially trade back and then acquire a second-round pick that's an early second-round pick, maybe a late first-round pick as well as an early second-round pick in order to go after 2 offensive linemen. And I think that that's going to be the case for Buffalo, is going back and getting an early second-round pick in order to pick up DeJuan Jones. But like I said, that could potentially not happen because they could move up the draft board and he's not going to be a pick for Buffalo. But he's a kid that I think that Buffalo would fit exactly where he needs to be. He's got the zone scheme that he's ran in college. He's played with electric quarterbacks in his career as well. He's played with Justin Fields, and I think he fits exactly what Buffalo needs with a mobile quarterback. So I like him, and I think that his numbers at the scouting combine could potentially keep him right around where Buffalo is going to be picking him in this second round too. Because if he doesn't have success with his overall numbers in terms of like the 40-yard dash and the 3-cone drill and stuff like that, that could concern some prospects, and he could move back into the second round, and he would be an excellent pick for the 59th pick for the Bills.
All right, let me throw it to you, Jake, about your thoughts on DeJuan Jones.
All right, I want you to clip this right now. You guys ever watch Game of Thrones? And you know the mountain from Game of Thrones? Because this guy is the closest thing you're going to find to the mountain. His measurables are immeasurable. I mean, he's an absolute freak of nature. I think the only downfall is that, being a right tackle, he's more of a natural right tackle fit. I'm not sure if he is a true left tackle by any means. And the last time the Bills took a freak of nature at the right tackle position that was supposed to be a switch over to left tackle, it was Mike Williams. They took him very high, 4th overall pick in 2002. So I do worry a little bit, but I think this guy, what he presents, in terms of physicality and just size alone is something I would absolutely take a risk on, and I would pick this guy higher than what he's projected. I know he's already climbing up on a lot of draft boards, but I love the prospect. Brett, you did a great job selecting this young man. He's only getting higher and higher, and as he gets to the combine here, if he tests well, his draft stock is going to just be even better than what it was. So I think there's a real good chance that maybe the Bills take a shot on him in the second round, and that would be pretty cool to get a guy like this because you're not going to find anyone that's 6'8", 375.
That's the one thing that concerns me, though, is the 375 pounds. It concerns me quite a bit. I think he's going to have to get down into the 335-pound range. So losing 40 pounds, he can move, though. Don't get me wrong, but the 375 pounds, especially in the NFL, that concerns me. That makes me worry about injuries that he could have. So getting him down to 335, 340 pounds in an offseason and in training camp, that concerns me a lot. But he could potentially, have a really good scouting combine and move up the draft boards. But that might be something that is a red flag for teams going into the draft.
Yeah, and I really do think he's probably still a late first-round pick, in my opinion. He may climb up to mid to early first round just based on how he tests. But looking at it, I mean, he was already, projected originally as a 3rd-round pick. I think maybe there's a chance we can move up in the 2nd round and draft a guy like him, but we'll see, man. Time will tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we can get him in the 2nd round, that'd be fantastic. Because
incredible.
I love his size, and I'm not worried about the 375. Yeah, sure, he can drop a few pounds. Who couldn't afford to lose a few pounds? All of us, right? Except for Sean. For Sean.
Yeah.
But
I'm too much already.
This guy's the beast. But let me throw it to you, Sean, real quick. And any thoughts on DeJuan Jones? And then we're going to move right into your guy, Mr. Darnell Wright, who also had a fantastic Senior Bowl, and he's moving up the boards quickly.
Yeah, well, I mean, DeJuan Jones, like Jake said and Brett said, he's a freak of nature. He's huge. He's massive. And like I said, the weight does concern me. It might not concern some people, but you saw with Mekhi Becton. He was 405 pounds, 6'9". He could run a 5 flat, top 5 pick. Every year he had a season-ending injury because his body is too massive. If he's 375 at playing weight, he's over 400 pounds in the offseason. So he's going to come to camp over 400 pounds. And, it's a lot of weight to lug. You're already putting so much torque on your body and you're anchoring and all that stuff, all that heaviness. It's just, you got to be at least 350. I mean, 330, maybe not, bro. I say maybe 350. He could probably do well in, because 20 pounds is actually a massive difference. So
yeah,
definitely don't want him playing at 375, even though it's massive. But people in the NFL, it's so much different than college. People are so quick. People are so elite with speed. Like if you got a Nick Bosa going against a guy that's 375, he's gonna be a turnstile the whole entire game. So definitely want him to lose a little bit of weight. Because you run an offense with Josh, you have 10, 15 play drives. Is he going to be gassed out after the 5th play and not be able to, keep up? And that's my only concern. But definitely can't go wrong if you get this guy. I have a feeling he'll be top 15 after his combine, just because, like Jake said, he can move. That alone, being that big and being able to move, will project him into the top 15 alone. Just not anything else. But he definitely has to. Like Jake, you mentioned it a few times. A 40-yard dash, you can only put so much into it. But people will see that, like with Mekhi Becton. Oh, he ran a 5 flat and he's 420 pounds. First round. Got to get him. But in the game, can you carry around 400 pounds of body weight playing top level against elite defensive ends? So would like him to lose a little bit of weight, but nonetheless,
yeah,
you could get this guy. Definitely could be a great asset to your team, for sure.
One other thing that you have to factor in too is he also is susceptible to counter moves, and that's something that concerns me. And I think getting him down, like we said, around that between 335 pounds to 350 pounds is exactly where he should be. So hopefully that'll help him keep his durability up, and he won't become a guy like Mekhi Becton, who's had the knee injuries in his career, and he can stay durable for whoever gets him in the draft.
Love it. He does meet your criteria, Sean, of playing for a big school as well.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say three of the 4 were pretty great schools.
He didn't allow a single sack this entire season too, which is very impressive.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he played a full season?
He played a full season. Yeah.
I mean, come on, man. That's
pretty damn
amazing.
good. As a right tackle, he's a natural right tackle too. So,
it'll be interesting.
It'll
be interesting in our mock draft to see where he falls, but I'm thinking he's going to be higher than 27.
He probably will be. Yeah.
Well, let's move over to Sean's guy here, Darnell Wright, who had, like I said earlier, had a very, very good Senior Bowl, jumping up the boards. Let me throw it to you, Sean.
Yeah, so I'm pumped up about this guy. Another big school player. He was in 2022 All SEC first team, which is amazing. Again, his height and weight ratio, I think that's perfect. 6'6", 342. 342, again, it's a little bit high, but I'm not concerned about that. I think he's the perfect build, and he does some of his weakness. He struggles with elite speed. So obviously in the NFL, you're going to have a lot of people with elite speed. So he may have to lose 10, 15 pounds in order to counter that. With also his hands are a little bit small. Again, you can't control that. You can't tell him to grow bigger hands. So that's the thing you can't fix. But again, it's just what people talk about pre-draft. Like they say it about certain quarterbacks. Like Kenny Pickett has small hands. He can't throw the football, but he gets to the NFL and he throws the football pretty well. So I don't put too much stock into that. He also dips his head, which I think a lot of these college prospects in our last video did the same thing. They did often dip their head a lot, which not only is that not safe, but when you play against an NFL talent, they're just going to destroy you. And then he has average lateral speed. Again, that all can be changed with when you get to the NFL and you do a different agility that maybe the colleges don't provide for you as far as coaching goes. And then if you drop a little bit of weight, you automatically get faster. When I was 175 pounds and ripped, I could do like 50 pull-ups in a row. Not actually 50, but I could probably do 30 reps of a pull-up with my body weight. And then now I'm 230, I could do like 6. So you lose weight, you can automatically do
good, Sean. Come on.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's not. I used to be able to put 3 45-pound plates on a belt and pull myself up 3 times, but I'm never gonna be like that again. I don't think. But
Sean,
he could have definitely all this stuff besides his hands are fixable weaknesses. Now, when you get over to his strengths, the biggest strength he has is his power, and power and offensive line. It's just what you want. You want a mauler. He's a beast in the run game. He's got a pretty good burst off the line of scrimmage, very strong anchor and functional strength, again, which you're going against very fast, strong defensive ends who, they may be 260, 270, but these guys are top of the world in strength, some of these defensive linemen. So that's also great to hear. Pass blocking this year, 84%. Again, I know it's college, so we have to remember college and NFL is 100% different, but SEC is probably one of the closest to the NFL, which again, it's not nowhere close, but out of all the schools, it's probably all the sections, it's one of the closest ones. And then running was 72%, no sacks allowed on 500 snaps, 2 QB hits, and again, improve on his balance because he gets a little bit too far in front of himself on some plays. And then in college, you can recover oftentimes. But in the NFL, you get too far forward on yourself, you're going to get knocked on your ass. But again, nonetheless, I'm super excited about this guy. He's extremely possible. Like usually when you think about great offensive tackles or guards, it's almost impossible to probably get him late in the first. But again, first, second round, I think no matter where we are, 27, we'll see if he's around. And then you have to choose guard, tackle, or even the second round. Like you guys mentioned, maybe you can even trade your third round pick to move up in the second round. And then you could have your first round pick in 2 seconds to manage to get all these guys. But I mean, with him, with DeJuan, all these picks up here, you could definitely change your team in an instant. Of course, they're going to have rookie mistakes, but these guys can come in, start week 1 in an NFL game and show you promise and show you great signs. Again, with the smaller schools, you could beat up on the small schools, but when you get to with the big dogs, it's kind of hard. And I think he's a perfect example of what you need in the right tackle.
Sean, let me ask you a question. You touched on a good point here. You said that so if at 27 came around and you had a guy like Darnell Wright, you had a guy like DeJuan Jones, or you had Osiris Torrance, guard, who we talked about last week, who do you think we're going with? Who do you think, what position is more important to you in the first round for us this year? Is it guard or is it tackle?
Well, it's really tough. And the way I'm not going to give the definitive answer because I'm just pretty unsure, but I will say I think there's more high talent of guard that you could get in the second and third round than you can get tackle in the second and third round. So
that's great.
You would have to, like, I know if you don't pick Torrance at 27, he's not going to be there at 29 or 28, but or he's not going to be there at 29 because he'll probably get picked at 28th. But I think there's less top tier talent of tackle later after the first round and beginning of the second than there is guard. Because I mean, we had Voorhees in the third, and we had another guard available that we picked in the third, but we picked someone else, a wide receiver. But yeah, I think there's more valuable guard talent later in the rounds. So I think they would have to decide if Jones and Wright are there. I think you got to be like, well, these are probably the best top tier tackles left, and if you pass on them, you're not going to get them. But then, like you got like Mike's pick, who's a 5th rounder. Mike's going to talk about obviously soon, who could be a guy where maybe he's going to be around, and we like him. We like what he brings. It's a possibility, but I think it's going to have to wait till the time comes, and they're going to have to really decide, is there more talent at guard later on or more talent with tackle? If there's less talent with tackle, you have to get one of these top-tier tackles in the first round at 27.
Yeah, I agree with you, Sean. I do believe that this is a better draft for guards than tackles. So these guys that we have on the board, there's maybe one or two others that are top tier. But I love that. By the way, the guys from Cover One who do a lot of breakdown on film for the Buffalo Bills, they actually went to the Senior Bowl, and they love this guy, Darnell Wright, and they did a little video on him. So you want to check that out. But let me throw it to you real quick, Jake, on your thoughts on Darnell Wright.
Oh, yeah. So I think one of the biggest things that stands out for me is this young man had 93 true pass sets this year, 3 quarterback hurries, and 0 sacks allowed. I mean, that is extremely impressive, especially playing in the SEC against some of the top-tier defensive linemen, a ton of first-round picks, and guys that are going to be incredible NFL talents. I think that is one of the biggest, true telling signs about this young man is that he's going to be successful at the next level. I think especially at the right tackle position, it's going to be a very natural fit for him. I think for the Bills, it's a really nice fit as a pass blocker. He is one of the most elite pass blockers in this group of tackles coming into the draft this year. So you can't beat the size. You can't coach anything like that. 6'6", 342, functional strength, as Sean mentioned, probably the best amongst all tackles coming into the draft. And I just love what he brings. He brings experience. I think really this year he elevated his game more than ever, and he's going to be a great pick. If the Bills have a chance to take him at 27, I'm all for it.
Love it. What's your thoughts, Brett?
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Jake. I think that he has the biggest thing is his experience at the tackle position, both at left tackle as well as at right tackle. 2,746 career snaps in his college career. That's one thing you have to factor in. The other thing is he has the ability and the quick burst off the line of scrimmage to absorb the bull rush, which is something that I think as a left tackle, that's something that Spencer Brown's a little bit slower at, and he can absorb the bull rushes. He can also, in the run game, he's quick off his jump as well, so that he can get to his man, take care of his man, and then get to the second level and take care of the linebackers and then the safeties as well. So he has great speed to get down and get to the next, the second tier of the line for the defense. So I love this kid. I think he's going to be a really good fit, potential second-round pick for the Bills to get, but I just don't think that he's going to go in the first round. But you never know. He could move up the draft boards, and he would be a great pick for the 29th pick or the 27th pick as well.
27th pick.
Yeah,
27th. I'm thinking 29th because I'm thinking of where Osiris is at.
Oh, okay.
I don't think he'll be late in the second round. So I think if you miss him at 27, unless you trade up, you're going to miss him in the second round because we're 59. I don't think he'll unless he has a bad combine, then we may get lucky because you could just have a bad day and that could work in our favor. He could feel sick that morning and do terrible, and then all of a sudden he's falling at 59.
Could be a 4th round pick if that happens. If he has if he throws up like Josh Allen does at the exciting combine, goes in the 4th round, we pick him up, and the rest is history.
Love it.
There's a kid that tested extremely well. Well, yeah, sorry, Mike. There's a kid, I was just thinking about it. Bruce Campbell, back in the day, he was a 4th round pick from the Raiders.
Yep.
It was, this is about, 12 years ago now. Holy smokes. And maybe even longer than that. But tested extremely well at the combine. I think he ran like 4.47 or something like that. It was ridiculous. And he had unreal size. But ended up getting drafted in the 4th round. A lot of people had him projected as a 1st round pick. So maybe it'll have the opposite effect, Brett. Maybe if he tests poorly, people will see what he did on tape and they won't put as much into, there's a lot of things, we'll see. You just never know. You never know what these scouts are thinking. Never know what the GMs are thinking, especially, you have some really like off the wall guys like Bill Belichick, who took Cole Strange last year in the first round.
Yeah.
You just never know what these guys are thinking.
I think Belichick's going to take a lefty punter in the first round. You never know.
Yeah, it might happen. Yeah, for sure.
Well, let me follow up with the question to you, Jake, and then let you get into your guy, Matthew Bergeron. But the same question that I threw to Sean: if one of these top tackles come around to you at number 27 and Torrance is there, who are you going with?
That's a really tough call. I think Sean made a really good point too, just mentioning how the lack of, or I guess the drop off, if you will, in tackle talent really is evident. Whereas you can get a guard that's still very solid in the second and third round, even the fourth round. When you really look at it, I think the drop off is so extreme with tackle that it's hard to pass up a guy, especially if they're available there. If it's one of these four, I mean, shoot. Well, I mean, I guess maybe our two might. Maybe not. Matthew Bergeron, I'm very high on him. I think he's worthy. Honestly, I love the guy to death, and I'll get into that in a second. But these two, especially DeJuan Jones and Darnell Wright, it'd be tough to pass on one of those guys. It really would, especially with their measurables and what they've done, not allowing a sack, both of them this past season, playing at a high level and playing against really good competition. You might have to scratch your head a little bit if we don't take a tackle there.
The one thing I'm thinking about, and I love your guys' points, I'm just being devil's advocate here, is for the Bills last season, if you look back at the overall season, the one thing that I'm thinking about throughout the whole entire season is that we struggled in the run game, especially in the interior of our offensive line. And that's one thing I'm thinking about is going after somebody with the 27th pick and filling the interior offensive line. And then in the second round, you can go after guys like Matthew Bergeron or Darnell Wright if one of them is there. Or potentially, like Mike's going to jump into going after somebody in the fifth round. This is the draft where there's so much talent in the interior offensive line, don't get me wrong. But we need to find an elite talent with one of the first couple picks for offensive lineman. And it's got to be an interior offensive lineman, in my opinion, with either the first round pick or the second round pick. So I hope we can figure that out, because I mean we need to open up more holes for not only our running backs but also for Josh as well.
Brett, are you okay with going guard first round, tackle second round?
That's exactly what I'd love for us to do. I think that fits exactly what we should do. But potentially, if one of the centers is available in the second round, I would love to see Buffalo go after a center in the second round, because I know you guys are not okay with it. I know you don't want to.
No, I'm good with it, Brett.
I know you don't want to cut Mitch Morse, but I've thought about it for years. There's been so much talent with centers in the draft, and Buffalo hasn't gone after a center. And this is the year, if Brandon Beane wants to be a great GM, like I think he is, he has to go after one of these centers in the first couple rounds. And if he doesn't, then I'm sorry to say this, but his ass is on the line. And I'm going to put $1 in the swear jar. I'll do it for you guys. I'm gonna take Mike off the hook for his one cuss word that he said, but I'm going to say it too. Brandon's job is on the line if he doesn't get one of these elite centers in the draft.
Hey, who was our last first-round pick at center?
It was Eric Wood.
Yes, sir. 2009.
His job's on the line anyway, I will say. But
hey guys, centers. We're gonna get into centers next week. Let's not
I know. We're
Let's
jumping
not
ahead.
get
We're
off
jumping
topic.
not
We're
to toot
already-
my own horn, but
Yeah,
you could draft Darnell Wright at 27, and then Avila could be if I pronounce that right.
Avila. Yeah.
Avila,
Absolutely.
the second round possibility. So if you do go with Wright, you do have, I think a couple of your picks, guys, could be second round as well. Mm-hmm. So I guess like you guys said, it all depends who's on the board, really, and you got to really think: do we have a better opportunity of getting a guard next round or a tackle, or as we uncover the onion of the draft, because we might see we picked Darnell Wright or DeJuan Jones or whoever the first 27, and then our guards or our safety or whatever we had ended up being in the second round. So it's going to get more fun, but I think you have to go. I would dedicate the first 3 rounds to offensive line whether it's center, guard, or tackle. I think
I love that.
Wow.
it's
I
got
love
to
it
be
too.
it's got to be the necessary fix.
Hey,
You know,
the Chiefs laid the blueprint.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
exactly. I was
Yeah.
just gonna say that, Jake. 2 years ago, when the Chiefs lost in the Super Bowl, they revamped that whole offensive line, and look how damn good they were in the Super
Yeah.
Bowl.
Yeah,
I
right.
mean, so I love it.
I think the biggest thing we have to think about is for Buffalo this offseason, you have to factor in protecting Josh Allen at all costs. You've paid your franchise quarterback. I know that Sean, you've said a lot behind the scenes. I'm not going to throw you under the bus, man. I love you to death. But
already did.
You made some comments. I'm not going to share exactly what you said, but the comments that you've made, it now has to be about protecting your franchise quarterback. We've spent a lot of money on him. It's
lot.
been, it's been a lot, but we have to not only spend a lot of money on Josh, but we have to put draft picks and free agents in place to also have a really good offensive line behind him as well. So we got to take care of our quarterback, and we got to make sure that he's not being hit as many times as he was this season.
I love it. I love it. Let's get to Jake's guy, Matthew Bergeron, because I'm dying to get to the draft, the mock draft, guys. I want to see if we can make this happen. First 2 rounds, taking either a tackle and a guard in the first 2 rounds. It's going to be interesting. But Jake, talk to us about Matthew Bergeron from Syracuse. Just about 5-6 hours up the road from Buffalo.
That's right. Not even, Mike. Like, we're talking 3 hours.
Okay.
So what a natural fit this would be. Would love to have a guy in state and a Canadian-born Montreal guy coming back to Buffalo here. I mean, Buffalo is basically Canada. For those of you that don't know, Buffalo is about 20 minutes outside of Canada. I mean, I could make it to Canada right now if I wanted to, walking within maybe 6 or 7 hours, maybe 8 hours because I'm a little fat now. But anyways, nonetheless, I would love a guy like Matthew Bergeron. Here's the reason for this too. Versatility. I think at the worst, he's a guard. And at the guard position, he thrives. And I'm not going to even say it's a worst case scenario because a lot of people have said he can transition to guard and be as good as a guy like Joel Bitonio. So it may be a more appealing fit for him. But at the right tackle position, what he did at Syracuse is super impressive. Didn't allow a single sack this year, and experience is huge. He's 22 years old. I know it says he's a junior there, but he had the COVID year. So you got to remember, technically, he's a senior. He played all 4 years at Cuse. And he did a really nice job there, especially in the pass blocking game. I mean, he was one of the best pass blockers in the country this year. And I think, just looking at his skill set, he would be an excellent fit here in Buffalo. I love the Syracuse connection, obviously. You can take a guy like DeJuan Jones or Darnell Wright maybe in the first round, and then take a guy like Matthew Bergeron and anticipate him playing guard. Like, that's the beauty of this. And if not, play him at right tackle. I think he still has a lot of upside there, and it's still a better fit than what Spencer Brown is for this offense. He fits his zone scheme. He did a really nice job still in the run game, even at Cuse, even though his pass blocking is definitely his strength. I love him there. I think he's available in the second round when we're up on the board. So I say the Bills go all in and take this young man.
I love it. I love it. Do you have any thoughts on Syracuse, Mr. Matthew Bergeron, Sean? Any thoughts on him?
Oh, yeah. Cuse guy, baby. And Matt Bergeron, I mean, the Cuse hasn't been the greatest football team in the past years, but we were, 6-0, and then we finished tough, 7-6. But we were really good in the beginning of the season against great teams, too. And what I noticed the difference between last year and this year was the Cuse's offensive line seemed dramatically improved. And before I'm going to talk about Bergeron, I'm going to tell you guys ahead of time, I'm going to take Sean Tucker for my running back pick.
Oh, I love that.
For draft. Also Syracuse guy, of course, for the people watching. But yeah, I think, like Jake said, this guy can obviously play both positions. And again, he fits the guard height, 6'5". And Big Al, if you're still watching, the biggest reason I wouldn't put Spencer Brown inside at guard is because he's 6'8".
Right.
And you don't want Josh is 6'5", but then even Josh couldn't see over the offensive line if you got 6'8" guards. You know what I mean? But I think this guy's perfect. He fits the mold. The perfect 6'5", 323. That's a good guard height and weight. And again, he performed well at tackle at Syracuse, which they do play a couple good schools. They do play a lot of good teams, and I was very disappointed in them this year because we were like, wow, we're gonna get a bowl game.
Dude, they started off so hot. I'm like, here we go, man. They're gonna challenge this ACC conference. He did have some big games against some like big time teams too. So there is something to be said about that. But yeah,
we were ranked and everything, and then we had that rough game. I even forgot who it was. Was it Clemson? And
Notre Dame too. Everyone was excited about that game too. They're like, "Oh man, here we go. We're gonna knock off Notre Dame." It didn't happen.
Yeah, we choked a lot, but again, Bergeron, he performed very well at a high level. Can't go wrong with this guy in the second round. Again, it all depends on where you go. If he's there at 59, and and we don't already have a great tackler or guard, excuse me, I think that would be a great solid pick because
absolutely,
again, he just fits the mold. And again, got to bring. It's always good to see Cuse guys make it to the pros.
Love it. Who was
100%.
you would know this, Jake. I mean, can you tell me a Syracuse guy who was drafted recently and has done extremely well?
On the offensive line? Boy, I can't even.
General.
Anyone in general. I mean, Chandler Jones was a Cuse guy.
Dwight
Chandler
Freeney.
Jones. Dwight Freeney, yeah, great name.
Oh, we're going
Chandler
way back
Jones,
then.
I would say recently, and talking all pro guys, I would say he's right up there.
Carmelo
Absolutely.
Anthony.
Mike Williams, the receiver
Yep.
from Buffalo, went to Riverside High School, Mike. Went to Syracuse. He actually got suspended and I think kicked out of the university. Came to the Bills for a hot second. Had so much potential as a pro, actually. He was awesome in Tampa Bay. Came to the Bills with a lot of, obviously people were expecting a lot out of him, but he didn't do a whole lot. But he was a Syracuse guy, too.
All right.
Didn't he get in trouble for, was it a gun charge or something
it
like
was
that?
gun charge. Yeah.
I thought it was.
So good, though. So much talent, man.
So good. So much talent.
Yeah.
So I got to ask you guys real quick, and this is an off-topic question, but we talked about Syracuse a little bit. Do you think that Syracuse should have fired Dino Berry-Beers at the end of the season?
Years ago.
Yeah. I like Dino. It's hard for me to say that, but I would agree with Sean. Yeah, I think probably 2 years ago. We're probably
Jake,
ago.
You might remember better than me, but it was the senior night or senior game.
Yeah.
They were losing 38-3, and he was just like, well, if they listened to what I said, they wouldn't be losing by this much.
I know. It's terrible.
Yeah.
You know who I love, too, from Cuse in recent memory? He's playing, actually, I think he's playing in the XFL or USFL. Eric Dungy. Love that kid.
Yeah.
Big fan.
There's some really good talent for the Cuse coming out this year. You got
this year especially.
Garrett Williams, the cornerback, another great prospect for the Cuse.
Mm-hmm.
I can never remember the wide receiver's name that had a really good year this year. But he's going to come out of the draft in 2024, and he's going to be a really good prospect. I cannot remember his name, but he went. I think it was the first receiver for the Cuse to go over 1,000 yards.
I think his dad played for Miami, right?
Yeah.
Oronde Gadsden, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Rondé Gadsden. That's a great. He played with the Dolphins. Actually, he was acrobatic as hell, man. Yes.
He was great. He was great this year. He was a star.
Yep.
Yeah, but I think he was the first Cuse receiver to go over 1,000 yards in 10 seasons, which is incredible.
That's insane, man. Yeah, Rondé Gadsden. That's great. And his son. Yep, unreal.
All right. Well, moving on to my guy. Did you have any final thoughts, Brett, on Matthew Bergeron?
Yeah. If you don't mind me taking a second, I think this is a kid. I mean, all these guys are excellent picks for Buffalo. We just have to find the right one for us to fit. But I would love to get Matthew Bergeron and keep that Syracuse connection with Buffalo. I think that he would fit right in, and he could slide in, like Jake said, into the guard position as well. And I think that he's exactly what Buffalo is looking for. So another guy on the board that checks everything that I'm looking for in the offensive line. So can't go wrong with any of these guys up here.
All right. Well, let's move on to the last one because I want to get into this draft because I'm very, very interested in it. My guy, I think the Bills should hire me. I look deeper down the board. I do a lot of research. I try to find these diamonds in the rough. Now, don't get me wrong. This guy is not going to come in and be a starter day one. Not like your other three that you put up there on the board. I would love all three of those, but let's just say they're not there, and things end up going where we don't get a tackle in the first 3 rounds. We might be able to look at this guy, and I'm going to tell you why. So first of all, his name's Wanya Morris. He played 2 years out of Tennessee, and then he transferred over to Oklahoma. So he meets Sean's criteria. He's played with the big schools. He's played against some elite talent. He's 6'6", 317. He's got 10 and a quarter inch hands, my guys. 10 and, I mean, you want to, those claws get inside those, those shoulder pads of those rushers, man, he's going to clamp down. He's also got very long arms, which you want to see on a offensive tackle, 35 and 3/8 inch. Now, he hasn't been a full-time starter at any year that he's played. However, he runs a 5.0 40, and he's got a lot of traits that you're looking for in a offensive tackle. He had a decent Senior Bowl as well. Again, I love it that 3 of these guys that we're talking about are seniors, so they got a lot of experience, and they were invited to the Senior Bowl. Now, the other two, DeJuan Jones and Darnell Wright, had a fantastic Senior Bowl. My guy got mixed reviews. I mean, he got off to a slow start. He struggled early on, got knocked down, had a couple of false starts, but he turned it around in team and pass protection drills. He had some really nice battles against linebacker, edge, rusher out of Auburn, Derek Hall. I'm sure Jake knows who Derek Hall is out of Auburn. He's projected to be a second round, maybe even higher. So this guy has a lot of talent. He needs to bulk up a little bit. Obviously, I can go through all the positives and negatives, but you guys, it's pretty much the same stuff that you hear on any of these tackles. But I really think once he goes to the NFL and gets some real coaching at the NFL level, I think he could maybe second year start contributing to your team, maybe even the first year. I mean, maybe if someone got injured or something like that, he's not going to come in and be that guy like, oh my God, this guy's incredible. He could. He's got all the physical traits. Some of the film that I saw in the Senior Bowl with some of those reps that I just talked about, he looked really good. And I watched some film on him as well. So again, a little bit of a project. Bring him in. Have him work with Aaron Cromer. Have him work with the strength coach. Get that upper body built up. Maybe put a little bit more weight up there. And I think second year, this guy could really start to shine. Third year, I think he's one of those guys who you'll hear about later on. It's not going to be the first year, but second year, third year, it might be like Jermaine that we talked about, right? It really took him a few years to get it going, to get a chance. It took him, 6 years to really get a full-time starting gig at right tackle. I don't think it'll take this young man that long, but again, he's played for some top schools. He's faced some elite talent, went to the Senior Bowl, faced some elite talent. I like him, and if we can get him late, I think we should. If we haven't already taken a tackle, I think you take this guy.
Yeah,
Any
completely.
thoughts?
I completely agree with you, Mike. He's a prospect that could potentially not only play the right tackle position, but he's someone who some prospects like Albert Breer are saying that you could potentially slide him inside as well. He's a little bit smaller, like you said, it's 317 pounds, but you can slide him inside. He's really good in zone blocking, which is something that Buffalo strives in. He would be an excellent fit for Aaron Cromer because I think he would be a great project for Buffalo. And he could be the needle in the haystack of this draft. And I know I looked for someone in free agency that we could find, but I think, Mike, you hit it well in the draft. And this kid is excellent in the run game. He's really, really good at using his hands in the run game, but he's a little sloppy in the passing game. But I think that's coachable. You can easily fix that, and I think he'll only get better in the NFL. And you could see him playing not only right tackle but also inside. So versatility is what I'm looking for an offensive lineman. He fits right into that.
I'm going to submit my resume to One Bills Drive to be a scout. I'm hoping. I don't know. I don't
love
have
it.
much experience, but I'll tell them we do a podcast and we research these guys. Give me a chance, man. I'll even do it on the cheap. Just pay for my, my flights around the country. Just pay for my stay. That's all I want.
Yeah.
Jake,
You just all you need is your flights and then bar bill. That's all you need.
That's right.
Yeah,
You'll be- that's
exactly,
it, man.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, Jake, your thoughts on Mather? I'm sorry, not
Yeah.
Matthew, but Wanya Morris.
Well, first off, he's a sleeper in every sense of the name, but don't sleep on him. He's played in 2 Power 5 conferences. I don't think a lot of people know this, but he was a 2-year starter at Tennessee before transferring to Oklahoma. He played at Oklahoma. He's rotational. Doesn't get as much notoriety or recognition as his teammate, Anton Harrison, who is one of the top tackle prospects in this draft. But I think Brett really said it well, where he offers so much versatility, where a lot of scouts and GMs have him actually moving inside. He could play guard. He could play right tackle. And I think, honestly, they haven't projected – you said 5th-round pick. I think he's projected even higher, Mike. I would put him at 4th or 3rd just based on how versatile he is. I think he does a really nice job of sitting back, playing that, more catch technique instead of, more aggressive technique, which I guess wouldn't fit as well with Aaron Kromer's style. But I will say this, he's been able to keep rushers at bay. He's done a really nice job in pass protection. So I think for him, it's a really nice fit for the Bills. He's definitely a developmental prospect. I think he's more pro ready at the guard position than he is right tackle, but not a bad day 2 pick or day 3 pick, if you will. Definitely, I would say late 3rd round, early 4th round, in my opinion, but not a bad prospect at all. The versatility is huge for me, and that is a prototypical Bills prospect.
100%.
Sean, why don't you give your final thoughts on Wanya Morris, and then let's move to our mock draft.
Yeah, it's great. It's important to look into the late rounds too. And I know we want to take care of guard and tackle early, which I hope we do. But I mean, knowing the Bills, we probably will figure out a way to not do anything right, and then we're gonna need a guy like Wanya Morris to be on the board in the late rounds. And like we have drafted pretty decently in the late rounds, but we haven't drafted well with offensive line. We've either drafted good talent and put them out the door, or we drafted terrible talent. So that's my only thing with the Bills is like, are they going to be able to evaluate these guys, these late round picks or these early round picks correctly and actually hit on an offensive lineman that's going to benefit our team? But I think this guy's great. He's tall, athletic, strong. He maybe is a little bit undersized for guard, but again, you could easily put on weight, and the flexibility with guard to tackle, it's rare. And again, I always mention that.
Look at his arms. Look at his arm length.
A lot of people think like everyone in the NFL should be able to play every position on the line, like our staff thinks, but it's just not necessarily the case. A lot of people can't do that. But when you got a guy like Wanya Morris who can do both pretty well, especially, that's a great thing to have. And you're not forcing him to. He's never played guard before, or he stinks at guard. Let me put him at guard because I want Spencer Brown to start at right tackle. Like it wouldn't be like that because he can perform at guard. But again, that'd be a phenomenal 5th round pick, 4th round pick even if he does stay there or fall to 5th. I think that'd be a great choice.
So Sean, let me ask you a quick question, bud, and I want to ask everybody on the panel this: when you look at the Bills in the past few years in drafting for the offensive line, and there's been some misses for the Bills overall, do you put that more on the scouting team, or do you put that more on the coaching as far as what went wrong?
I put it on coaching just because like I feel like it's like in any job. Like I don't have employees yet, but in my company, say I had employees, or I'm just use the Army example. I was in charge of 3 to 5 soldiers at once when I was a sergeant or a team leader, and everything they did in my leadership, I was taught if something they did that was good, whether you told them to do it or not, they did it. If something they did that was wrong, that they chose on their own or whatever, you take the responsibility. So the coaches should take all the responsibility because they have these scouts available and they know football. So like Brandon Beane's job mainly is to understand football and talent, as a general manager. So you have to be able to not only trust these scouts, but also know what you're looking at and talking about. They really haven't. Again, we don't know if Bean's terrible at drafting or if McDermott and the coaching staff is terrible at elevating talent and improving talent. Again, I'm a firm believer of if Brandon Bean didn't hit on Josh Allen, if he picked Josh Rosen, he would have been fired like 2 years ago because every other draft they've really had hasn't been that great. And the only reason why we're good, besides Diggs, is Josh Allen. So if he didn't take that risk of drafting Josh, who was a project quarterback, it made or make or break his career situation. If he did not pick Josh Allen, he picked Josh Rosen or something like that, he would have been gone for a long time. So I don't know if it's a mixture of both or if Bean's picking great people, but our coaches can't make them better, or you know what I'm saying? It's hard to understand, and I don't think we ever will, unless maybe this year, hopefully we figure out the truth and everything hits, because we thought we've had great drafts, and it turns out when you look back at all of them, they were all average at best and oftentimes below average. So that's, I think, as a major problem is their evaluation of talent. But I blame the GM and coaches more than the scouts, because the scouts are below them, I think, in the grand scheme of it all. And the coaches have to make the final say. The scouts don't draft the players, so they have to do their due diligence. Or the scouts, the guys that they watch, you got to watch them as well. Oh, I think he's great. The scout, like Brett the scout, comes up to Jake, the coach and the general manager. Hey, I was looking at Bergeron. Here's his here's some tape we saw on him. Here's some of his stats and his abilities. Yeah, take a look. And then McDermott's supposed to dissect him and be like, okay, I don't think he's a fit for our team. He might be like a 6th-round pick maybe if we do pick him. And that's their responsibility to double check on what the scouts present. So I blame make a long story that I made already long short. It's a coach.
Boys, we hit her over too. By the way, I don't know how we did it, but we always
Yeah.
figure it out somehow.
It's the coaches and the GM.
Sean, I keep mine short. My answer to this, I totally agree with you. If us 4 scouts can find the talent that we just found, I know the scouts are doing their job. Come on, give me a break. So for me, 100% on the coaches. Jake?
Yeah,
I would agree with that. Yeah, I'll keep it short too. I think it's coaching, plain and simple.
All right,
100% agree.
Let's get into this mock draft, boys. Let's see who we can get in this first and second. Now, we talked about guards. We talked about tackles. Let's see if we can get them in the first 2 rounds. Let's go. Jake, do you want to present this week?
Yes, sir. I got it. 1 second here. All right.
Can you do the filter where is there a filter where you can pick more than one position available at the same time, or is it either all or one position?
I'm actually not sure. Okay.
Just to save a couple seconds here and there, if you could highlight interior offensive line and tackle at the same time.
Yeah, let me see if I can do that. 1 second here. Okay, so all right, so you guys can see my screen here.
Yep.
So I'm highlighted on Bills.
I think you have to do it after you start the draft.
Okay.
Yeah. So after you get to the first pick. And you slow down the speed, right?
Yep, I got it right here,
Okay.
so
Sweet,
not
sweet.
too bad. Settings, maybe?
Yeah, try that.
You must be running on a low resolution monitor. Are you running on your laptop?
Yeah, I'm on my laptop.
On my screen, that thing is so short.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
But that's all right. We'll get through it.
That's okay.
Okay.
It was just going to save a couple seconds, but we're spending time trying to find it anyway, so it evens out.
So let's roll, man. Let's get
All
this
right,
thing
let's
going.
do it. Ready, guys?
Yep, let's do it.
Here we go. All right, we're going to start it right now.
Last week in our mock draft, Torrance was available. However, we
was
didn't
available.
look to see. We didn't look to see what type of tackles were available, but let's see who's available this week.
I think if one of our guys are available there, I mean, I would say out of
No,
Brett
Torrance
Sean.
is
I saw Torrance gone.
Mm,
Oh,
Did he go?
and your guy Zay Flowers gone.
wow. Okay.
Are we going to check tackle first just because?
Oh,
it's
yeah,
tackle
we got
day?
it.
Yeah, let's talk.
Absolutely. Oh, Anton Harrison and
Wow.
DeJuan Jones.
DeJuan Jones is there.
And Darnell
Good
Wright.
call.
Everybody's
Good call, Brett.
available.
Ooh.
And Darnell Wright. I love it.
I think everybody's is there.
Well, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess.
Guys,
know,
I don't know. I mean, this is a man that we didn't really talk about.
because we didn't
In
expect
my
him to-
opinion, he's a top 3 tackle in this class.
Yeah.
I feel like this is my opinion. If we're going tackles, I mean, Osiris Torrance is already taken. So
Yeah.
Anton Harrison is a very solid pick here. He's been going a lot earlier than this in most mocks. I don't know. What do you guys think?
No, I love
No.
it. I think
Okay.
what
And I
what,
love. I mean, obviously, DeJuan Jones, that would be great here too. But oof.
Yeah, the only reason we didn't have him is because no one thought he'd fall down. this far.
Exactly.
So,
I don't know. I'm good.
I would pick him, but let's just take a look at guard just to see who's there,
Sure.
to see what it's
Oh, yeah.
like, and then I would still pick Harrison if he's there at 27 for sure.
Absolutely. Oh, that's
Now Harrison played left tackle for Oklahoma.
Oh, okay. You did have it in. It was both interior and tackle. So Avila's there, my guy.
Mhm.
So I think, I mean, if
I think you
I
go
would be-
tackle.
yeah, I think so too. I think Steve Avila could be there in the second round for us. He should be there probably, but
But I mean,
based on this, I mean,
if one of the best tackles is up there at 27,
I think you got to take him. I mean, it makes sense, right?
And even if
You
he
guys
didn't,
good?
even if he was gone, you got DeJuan Jones sitting right there too. So
Right.
Jake,
All right.
Jake, did Harrison play left tackle or right tackle at?
He was a
Oklahoma?
left tackle. Yeah, he was a left tackle there.
That's
Yep.
that's the only thing that would concern me about this pick
Sure.
is, you know, solidify. You want to solidify that right tackle position. So I mean, it's something to think about. But you know, you could always slide him over to the other side, or Deion Dawkins over too.
So personally, I'm thinking you take Anton Harrison. I would actually play him at left and Dion at right, which sounds kind of crazy, but
Deion's athletic. I think he's like, for his size especially, he's very athletic and quick-footed.
Yeah.
I think he
Yeah.
wouldn't
He
have a
could
problem
play-
making the switch. I think
Right.
it's more of like the pride of being the blind-side tackle for your quarterback. I think
for sure.
Yeah.
that might hurt his ego, but I think he'd be fine at right tackle.
I agree. All right, boys, I'm going to take him.
Yeah, go ahead and
Yeah.
take
All
him
right.
while you're doing
You
that.
got
While we're waiting, Brett was
That's interesting.
was
You know
DeJuan
what, Mike?
Jones also a left tackle, or did he play right tackle?
He's a
He
right
played
tackle.
right tackle. He's a natural right tackle. That's
Okay.
that's
Like,
what
if he could.
that's what I was thinking about. Is, you know, getting the natural fit at right tackle.
I like that
Absolutely.
too.
Oh, DeJuan Jones went at like 49.
Oh,
Or
wow.
DeJuan, whatever. But Mike, we should try to do two of these
look at that.
just to see how it does 2 times in a row, to
Ooh.
see if it's the same or if it changes.
Crazy.
Okay.
Just in my
I mean, it's
opinion.
not a need, but it is worth noting that Andre Carter is still available here. No relation to the former Pro Bowler Andre Carter, by the way, guys. But
No,
pretty
he's gonna
cool
be an
to
officer.
see.
You don't draft people from the Army, Navy, or Air
oh
Force.
man,
You gotta-
Sean, I thought you'd be vouching for this young man. I
he's
love
gotta
it.
serve the country. He's got to go.
I know,
He's
and
got to go
it's.
lead the next infantry battalion. And
I was gonna say there was like a big thing about that too. Like I know it went to court and everything about whether or not, you know, he'd be able to actually enter the draft, because there was something that was, I don't know if it was a new ruling or something like
Well, you
that. But
have-
basically,
well, I was gonna say, when you go to the academies, you're signing a contract to join the service immediately upon graduation. So
okay.
you're enlisting because you're doing ROTC in college. So
right.
you're going to school, like, so they can do air assault school, ranger school, all that stuff that I could have done or did do while I was an enlisted soldier. They can do that stuff in college, and they're not considered soldiers yet, but they can get those badges. And then when they graduate, they go to, they graduate to college, then they go to OCS, and then, they go on to serve. So I think that's probably why they don't get drafted. But yeah, I gotta go get my charger also, so I'll be right back. But
Okay.
I think
No
that's
problem,
Sounds good.
I will say this. I mean, tell us who the guards are that are available. But
Yeah.
after hearing what Brett said
Oh.
about DeJuan Jones being a right tackle, I probably would have went with him. If we do this next week, I think I'll flip and go DeJuan Jones.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I'm- I'm just thinking about it, and thinking about moving everybody on the offensive line group. That's something that concerns me just a little bit. You have the natural fit at right tackle. You have Deion Dawkins, who's played his whole career at left tackle, and then you can solidify 2 areas right there for years to come, and then you can fill in center right here with his teammate and get your center.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
fair.
it's. I mean, if you got Dawkins, who's played left tackle all his career, I don't know if he's played any right tackle, but it is a big change going from
Yeah.
left to right. It's not just an easy move for a tackle. So, anyhow, who do we got at guard?
So, I mean, right now we're looking at interior offensive line. The highest rated guard here is my guy, Andrew Voorhees, which I think he's still available probably in the 3rd or 4th round.
Yeah.
I mean, he went in the 4th round on our last mock draft. So, which I still totally disagree with. I think he is worthy of a 3rd round pick. I think he's actually even worthy of a 2nd round pick. He's going to prove a lot of people wrong at the second level here, at the second level, at the next level here. I would not mind taking a guy like Luke Whippler here, just because he would be a very good replacement for Mitch Morse. And in the meantime, if he has to, he can play guard, but he has been unreal with Ohio State. And you know how I feel about Big Ten offensive linemen. I think they're great. I mean, either of these guys are great picks here, Joe Tittman or Luke Whippler. In my opinion, I love Luke. I think he's as good as it gets. John Michael Schmitz is another guy out of Minnesota. He's another good target. I don't think he's available right now. Obviously, He looks like he was taken. But
Got to take Wisconsin center though, Jake.
Listen, I love Wisco O-line, so I'm not opposed to taking either of these guys. He is the second Travis Frederick, in my opinion. So,
how about tackles? Just to look to see who's left.
Sure, yeah. Let's see. I mean, if Matthew Bergeron's available, which he is, so this is an interesting scenario because you can technically.
Cody Mock is there too.
Cody Mock is there too. You can technically kick Matthew Bergeron inside as well as Cody Mock. He's a potential kick inside.
But Mike, I did pick Mock my 2nd round in one of my drafts, and it gave me an F. So I think they see him as like a 3rd or a 4th, but I did take him as a 2nd once, and that's what they gave me. But I think
this would be nice. Honestly, guys, I mean, I would not mind. I would do anything to take Matthew Bergeron, especially in the 2nd round. I think it's such a good value pick, just because I think at guard, it is like it's a very natural fit with how he moves laterally. And a lot of scouts have him compared to Joel Bitonio, which if he's anything like him, even a shell of Joel Bitonio, I mean, 5-time Pro Bowler, 3-time first team All Pro, whatever it is, I think that'd be incredible. He could play both positions. So I don't know about you guys. I'm actually more on the Matthew Bergeron train here, other than, outside of
let's go around the panel here. I'm saying I can't see us going tackle, but I would like your center idea, and I like the center from Ohio State. So that would be my pick.
Yep.
Who do you guys like?
I mean, I would say Wisconsin center, but I think we should look at guard just one more time, just because I think it gets unless you're assuming Voorhees could. We try to do it last time. Remember, Brett said, "Oh wait, he'll be there in the 4th round."
Yeah,
true.
Do we? I think you still need to either draft or pick a free agent guard. So I don't know. It's tough. We could take the gamble. We can go Wisconsin center or Ohio State center, and then see if Voorhees is there in the 3rd round. But I wouldn't try for the 4th round for Voorhees. So I would just say I'd probably go with the center, either Weipler or Tittman.
Hey, and if I like that, and if Cody, I'm telling you, I know you said Cody Mock in your draft, but that's a mock draft. I'm listening to the experts, and they're
no. I think he's great. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I'm thinking he could be available in the 3rd, so I'm good with the center here. So let's roll with one of these centers, guys.
All right.
So
what do you think, Brett? You're the tiebreaker.
I thought of an idea. Okay, and if you go back to tackle, I'm just going to throw this out here real quick. Okay, how about this? We got Anton Harrison for left tackle. Okay, you slide Deion Dawkins into left guard. Okay, keep Mitch Morse, sign him to an extension for a couple of years. Mm-hmm. Now you throw in Matthew Bergeron at right guard, and then you also have Spencer Brown, who I know, Sean, you're not happy with, but you can also get it. You can get somebody in free agency that could fill in for him, and now you have it set.
I can't do that. I can't do that to an all-pro left tackle. I just can't do that.
I'd be fine with moving Dawkins to right tackle, but then a guard,
which is basically what we're doing. So we already drafted. So we drafted Anton Harrison. I think he's definitely a left tackle. That's his natural fit. So I think we moved Deion to right tackle here. So You have a
Put
decision
Spencer
to
Brown
make.
at left bench.
So my
Right.
decision is definitely to go with the center anyway. So that's my
Okay.
decision.
All
That
right,
was my
let's roll with
decision
it.
anyways.
Which one?
Okay,
which
now
one, though?
Brett, who are you taking? You taking Luke Whippler or are you taking Joe Tippmann?
Luke Whippler all day.
Okay, so I just want you to know, we're talking centers, recent memory, and I don't know if you're a big recent memory bias guy. We're talking Billy Price versus Travis Frederick. So, who do you like more?
Oh,
Not to stir your decision.
Gosh. I mean, I like Travis Frederick, don't get me wrong.
Of course. So you're going to take the Wisco guy. But
Gotta go Wisco center.
But-
Wisco centers are.
he's got a great mullet, too. But I do love Luke Whippler. I really do. I think he's great.
Mullet in Buffalo. I mean,
I know. It'd go over well.
I'm just thinking it would fit well.
Do we do it?
I do it.
All right, we're taking Joe Tippmann. We're going to roll with it.
Tippmann. Yeah, let's do Tippmann.
All
We
right.
might get a bad grade because he's less projected than.
No, I know.
but
Which
think it's a
I
great
hate
pick.
that. I absolutely hate that. I mean,
I'm gonna pull a Sean move here, or what Sean would say, like if it was Bean who took that. Sean just screwed us for many years. to come.
I love it. All right, boys, here we go. Wow, Nathaniel Dell on the board still. That's surprising.
I think you got to go.
He's from
You got to
Houston.
go wide
Intriguing.
receiver.
He's from a bum school though, Jake.
Take a look at guards real quick.
All right, let's see. Yeah, let's see what we got.
This is the
There
draft
you
special
go.
for guys.
There he is. He's there.
Gotta get him.
My boy Cody looks like. Well, Cody's a tackle. Is he available still?
No, he's
Yeah,
gone.
if he's still available, I think that's a conversation too, for sure.
Look at tackle.
Ooh,
'cause
Blake
he's-
Freeland, I like him a lot, but
He's gone.
not quite.
Cody's gone. Someone snagged
Where'd
him.
he go? Where
Damn it, Sean. Damn it, Sean.
Well, that's weird. Like, why would they give me an F? They gave me an F for the second round, but they pick him in the third round, and like that doesn't make sense. I feel like it
Luke
should.
Whippler to the Raiders. Cody
He
Mott
went to Cincinnati.
right after
Oh.
us.
Right after us.
Wow.
Damn.
That's weird. That's really weird.
This mock draft is really strange.
It is. Let's see
I
what we
would
got
get-
for receiver. I'm just curious.
You got Dell.
Jaden Reed,
You got
Parker Washington and Jaden Reed, both available there. I love both of these guys, to be honest with you.
Hey, Jake, can you go up to the top on there?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. It was above them.
so I actually do have the Bills taking Jaden Reed in the third round. I think that would be a really nice pick. He is very similar height and weight to Stephon Diggs. I think he's pretty similar with his game, but a very good value pick in the third round.
Are any of these guys above him or around him more speed and maybe
I would
bigger
say,
targets?
You look at Nathaniel Dell. He's kind of a boomer bust guy in my opinion. I think it's one of those guys where it could really turn out well, just because he can stretch the field a little bit. But I don't know.
Didn't we have a recent receiver that we
Yeah,
drafted
Stevenson.
from Houston
Marquez Stevenson, yeah,
who is now not with the team?
right. So let's stay away from Houston receivers.
Yeah, the last few wide receivers that we took from Texas haven't worked out for us. So you look
No,
back
they
and you got him
Colby
and
Listenby?
you had Colby
TCU?
Listenby, yep, TCU, yep.
Was supposed to be
Guys,
unreal.
We should be looking at safety and
take a look,
linebacker as well. Do we got any
Yeah.
surprises left there?
Ooh, Chris
Christopher
Smith, that's
Smith.
really nice there.
I would take Voorhees though. I think.
Okay. Yeah, I like Andrew Voorhees a lot. Let's just take a look at
Linebacker.
linebacker.
Again, we'll see once we get into every other position, but I think
Yeah.
I think you got to at least
like
take
Dorian a
offensive
lot.
line the first two out of the 3 rounds at least.
Well, we're taking them 3, Sean. 3 times. 3. Let's go.
there.
I'm good with it.
Opportunities there.
Go at Voorhees because we.
I love it. We
talked
missed
about
on him last
week.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's
Well,
do it.
Because
guys.
also
Yeah.
you got to think
Yeah.
we don't have a ton of money. I think you can get better value in free agency at a skill position like receiver
I agree.
than you could at a lineman. So if you could build for the long term in the draft with linemen, it might fare better for.
I mean,
us.
shoot. What about DeAndre Hopkins, guys? Do
Dude,
we
if you-
trade for-
if
do we
we
trade
got
for
Vor-
DeAndre Hopkins?
if we got Voorhees, Tippmann, and Anton Harrison, like that'd be
Insane. That'd be
That'd be
unbelievable.
that'd
Yeah.
be ridiculous.
How the hell is Carl Brooks still available? That's nuts.
There was a
Michael
story
Wilson,
that came
too.
about him.
I did see that.
Bigsby.
I did see that.
I'm just kidding about the story. I'm saying that's the only reason these guys start to fall. Something comes out.
When Sean
Oh,
Tucker
wait.
finished,
What'd you say, Mike? There's a story that came about him?
Yeah, I said there was a story, but I was joking because
I
I
did
was
not
saying
see that. No, I did
if
not see
he's fallen this far, usually it's because something either in the combine or something came up.
the gas
He's
mask.
wearing a gas mask.
smoking weed.
one of his ex-girlfriends showed a
Yeah.
tweet about him saying something
boy.
bad.
He's a Mac
Yeah.
guy. But no, we cannot take an edge. I love Michael
No.
Wilson here, to be honest, but shoot.
What about tight end? What tight ends are available?
What about quarterbacks?
Oh no, I was just throwing it out there because I wasn't sure if there was a tight end that might be available late.
Stetson Bennett.
Yeah,
There we go.
No.
that's who we're gonna get in the 6th round.
We'll pull another Jake Fromm and waste
Oh
the pick.
boy,
And-
listen. I'm a big Penn State fan. I love this kid, Jair Brown.
What
That's
kind
really
of
good
size?
value there.
What kind of size does he have? Is he 6 feet at least?
Can you show more on him?
He's 6 feet at least.
What we got here?
Yeah, I want a 6 foot guy. It's got to be 6 foot or more.
I want a 6'3" safety who's like 220 but fast as hell.
Well, that would be my ideal situation, but I don't want these small guys. They got to run support, man.
Sick of small.
Yes.
That's fair. Yeah, he's only 5'11". I didn't think he was actually 6 foot, so that's actually generous. I thought he was more like 5'9". So I was actually my comparable to him is actually Jarris Bird. So which would be good, but
Yeah, for sure.
not quite.
Well,
Are we checking offensive line for round 4, or are we just going to pick
Yeah,
whatever?
let's check it. Let's see what
can
we got.
you
Let's see what we
imagine
got. Luke
the
Hager.
Mafia would be going crazy right now
They would
if
be
we
losing
go
their
4 offensive linemen in the first.
I was shotgun like 5
4
years in a
rounds.
row.
Wow, that would be incredible value.
Yeah.
But
What
I'm
about
not
Mike's guy?
sure.
Mike's guy still there?
Oh yeah, take a look at my guy, Morris.
Because 4th round, we thought he could go 4th round too. So let's see. Oh wow! I guess he went.
Oh,
in-
yeah.
There he is.
There he
there
is.
he is.
Well, let's
Wow,
pick
they
him.
really have him ranked low here.
Let's
There
pick
you
him
go.
as tackle day. Let's just pick him for.
Yeah.
For Mike. Let's do it.
All right, boys.
Let's go.
Look at that.
All right.
4 offensive linemen. I absolutely love it.
Well, if we can,
Watch the grade we get.
Oh boy.
if we
Don't worry.
can, let's run a second one just
I think it's great values here. I
just
mean,
to
shoot.
see
All right.
if it comes up the same.
Ooh, oh, Wanya, come on! Of course they're giving us an F. They're like, you
That's tough.
already picked a tackle and a center.
This
and
should be a
guard."
B plus. I mean, the fact that we landed him at 27.
Hold on
Harrison.
a second. I want to clip this. I'm going to take a picture of this, and when Wanya Morris becomes a star, I am going to remember this and just put this on social
Yeah,
media.
it's,
All right.
it's definitely just because of where they have them drafted and where we picked them. Jake, let's try it one more time.
One
just
more,
to see
one
if
more.
It,
One more?
Yeah, let's do it.
just quick, just to see if it falls the same way, and then we can
I don't
maybe
think it
pick
will.
it differently. But Mike, I don't think he's an F player. I think they say,
That's
"Oh,
crazy.
we got him at 240. You picked him at 130. That's a bad choice." I think that's what they view it as in the app.
Yeah.
But
Hey, what did they view Cole Strange as when the Patriots drafted him?
probably,
Yeah.
probably.
That's a
Yeah.
good point.
He was an F.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm curious
Nice
where Sean Tucker is projected, Jake.
I would
He's
say
projected like
4th.
5th round.
Yeah, 4th to 5th. Yeah,
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad taking him in the 5th.
I wouldn't either. Actually, I like him a
All
lot.
right, here we go, boys. Let's see.
I've seen a couple mocks with him going there. All right, here we go. This will be fun.
Oh, Torrance is taking
Torrance is
again.
Wow, guys.
Oh,
Zay
we got
Flowers
the-
taking again.
Whoa, that's so tempting, but we're not going to do it.
No, we can't.
Oh,
Not yet,
no.
The Mafia would
Look
storm
at that.
one Bills drive. We can't do it.
Do we go this way this time?
No, let's go
around?
DeJuan
we flip
Jones
it?
this time.
Yeah, let's do it. What a
Gotta
freaking-
go with the guy we talked about. Right tackle, natural right tackle. We don't have to move Dawkins at all. I love it.
You guys remember Howard Ballard? They call him the house. We could have
Yes.
a mountain.
Yes,
saying.
the
Right.
mountain. I love it.
You know?
I got a story I'll share with you guys off air, but
Leo's gone.
Oh, I can't wait to hear it. Let's see what we got here. Andre Carter again, man. All right, let's take a look at interior. Same deal.
What the heck?
Yeah, Avila went a couple
Let's
picks
see
ago.
Curious to see if Cody Mock went. Him and, Matthew Bergeron.
Mock's gone.
Did he go already?
No,
Yeah, he went already.
Yeah, he must have, yeah.
All
I
right.
don't think so.
You can search players.
Because he
Search
was there.
players.
Yeah, no, he went earlier. I saw him.
I think you got to use first name.
He went in the first round?
No, he didn't go in the first round. In the second round.
Oh, he's not going to come up because he's taken.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you go to the picks, he came up in the second round though.
Oh, right there.
Who took him?
The Bears.
Chicago?
Wow.
Good pick.
Bears.
Yeah.
They traded up and took him.
So I want to go a different direction here, guys. I want to take Matthew Bergeron. Let's take our prospects here.
This time, let's do it.
And we'll draft him with anticipation of switching him into guard.
Okay.
Or we'll see.
Or we'll see what happens.
Maybe
We'll trade him.
Maybe one of them works out.
I'll say it again.
Yeah, maybe one of them works out. Right?
Jake just screwed us for the next few years.
Probably. No, not with Matthew Bergeron, man. He's it.
You know what Sean thinks about moving a guy from his natural
Carl Brooks
position.
is available again.
I know.
What the heck?
Yeah,
You
wow.
edged.
Maxwell.
We didn't even look at linebackers, did we?
Because he went to Bowling Green.
I did take a look quick. Let's see here. Whoops. Same deal.
Well, I feel like one of us should have picked Anton Harrison. I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
It's
what
just
about
so weird because
what's the centers look like?
on Monday, Torrance was always falling to 27.
It's crazy. There he is, available still. And then we still have the kid out of
I
Michigan.
think
I still can't
Let's try to get Voorhees in the fourth
in the fourth?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
this time.
Jake, can you go to safeties and just see who's available?
Oh, yeah. I think if Chris Smith is available, guys. Sidney Brown?
Sidney Brown is available. Yeah, I think
you have to take Sidney Brown here.
Yes.
You have to. I mean, that's insane.
What wide receivers are
only if
available?
he meets my criteria? Is he 6 foot?
I think he just meets your criteria.
That would be an A+ pick because he's ranked 58 ADP. And
Let me look that up, Mike. I just want to make sure.
Jake, can you just check to see what wide receivers are available too?
He's 6 foot exactly.
Perfect. Snag him. Snag him.
Michael Wilson, Jaden Reed, same deal. Well,
I'd still go
shoot. I mean, yeah, Sidney Brown.
Sidney
He
Brown.
had an
Yeah,
incredible senior day or Senior Bowl too. So
I think you have to here.
I mean,
Lock it in,
yeah,
man. Lock
guys,
it in.
you have to. You have to do it.
This is going to be an A+ draft.
Well,
Voorhees
That's
is not.
insane.
depends
For him
on
to be
this
there
one.
in the third round, man. That's nuts.
did Voorhees go?
Yeah, he
Ron
went like
Tucker
3
went.
picks after.
Yeah, he just went,
Oh, gosh.
Jesus, we can't get a break with these.
So, wait, who do we got? We got 2 tackles. One guy we think we can move into guard.
right.
And then we
need
took
Sidney Brown.
Carl
a
Brooks still
safety.
available. How is that possible?
That's nuts, man.
4th round.
I'm
Check
telling you,
centers.
some bad news must have come out.
Yeah, he definitely got caught with the gas mask on.
Ooh, Chandler.
Penn State's
Just pick.
Just a great name too.
Just pick Stetson Bennett, just because the Bills will probably do that. They'll be like, we can't let the Patriots get him.
Should I take him?
No, heck no. If they waste one pick,
I like the kid Michael Wilson a lot. I don't know. I don't know what he's going to do at the next level. Yeah, I mean, Jared Patterson, was he still on the board? I thought he was, right? No, he was not. Never mind. Chandler Zavala is, though.
I'd take
Juice Scruggs, great name. I mean, could be a good replacement. Very raw.
Juice.
Yeah. Good
Is that
name,
a nickname
though.
or is that his real name?
It's a nickname.
Oh, I was gonna say, geez.
Yeah.
No, I'd go with Zavala maybe.
What about linebackers just to see who's
Yeah,
available?
let's take a look.
We need to get a linebacker in the draft, guys. We need to get
Dorian Williams would be nice.
If we let Edmonds go, because we
Yeah.
already drafted one in the 3rd round last
Correct,
year and
correct.
wasted the pick if we don't use them. So
I'm already assuming he's gone, but yes, you're right.
I mean, Dorian Williams is 6'2", 229.
What about Ivan Pace? Do you know his size?
Not quite the same. Ivan Pace. I actually don't, to be honest with you.
Scroll down.
I think he's 6'3", like 240, if I remember correct. I've
Let's
watched
see.
him play a little bit, but
Ventrell Miller, Florida
6 foot,
boy.
235.
What's this guy?
Ventrell Miller. Haven't watched a ton on him either, to be honest with you guys.
What does the show more give you on this this app here, this site? Oh, it brings
So
up
it'll
the
show
stuff.
it'll show his grade.
Gotcha.
Really good game against Missouri. Have to turn on that tape and then
Look at
turn on
them.
the tape against Florida State.
look at the game against Florida State.
Yeah, yikes. That's a rivalry game.
Oh my gosh.
Hate to see it.
We'll worry about linebackers at linebacker.
Yeah. Yes.
I love Dorian Williams. I have watched some tape on him. Very good instincts on him. He can cover as well. I think he's worthy of a third round or what? This is fourth. Wow, I think he's worthy of a third
With the
round.
130th pick, Kyle Brandt's going to be up there for the 4th round.
Yeah,
pick this
right.
year.
Yeah, exactly.
The
Yeah.
best player in this draft is going to be Dorian Williams.
I would be okay with it. I really would be.
The only Super Bowl champion.
the
linebacker.
only draftee this year who will win a Super Bowl.
Luke Haggard's pretty good out of Indiana, but we already took 2 tackles. Technically, although Matthew Bergeron's going to play guard. What do you think, guys?
I still think you just go edge because I mean,
All right, let's go
Best
look
available?
let's
that's
go with him.
available at this point. I mean,
Yeah.
Carl Brooks.
if you think about it, Shaq Lawson could potentially be gone. You're potentially maybe AJ Epinesa
maybe we're
traded.
trading. Yeah, maybe we're trading AJ.
No.
I don't love it either. I think
let's-
we take all offense minus maybe Sidney Brown, but and that's if he's available then.
Yeah.
I think you can pick him and still keep those guys. I mean, you got to have competition at camp. I think.
I still think it's best available.
I do like this kid a lot, Tank Bitsby.
Now we're gonna draft Sean Tucker. So
Tucker's gone.
Good.
Sean Tucker's gone in the 3rd round.
Yeah, he went in the beginning of the 4th round.
Did he really?
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
go up to it and check, it was the beginning of the 4th round. He went.
Let's take best available. Got my little boy.
Oh, yeah,
coming
it's the
here.
Pats.
Oh no!
Unbelievable, man. Wow.
That's higher than I thought. I thought he'd be like a 6th round pick.
That is pretty crazy. All right, what are we doing here, guys?
I say best available.
Let's take Carl Brook.
Carl Brooks. All right.
Yeah.
I love it. Max cool guy.
Oh, watch out.
I mean, it's
What's
good
that,
value
man?
there. We'll see what happens.
I'm betting A.
This would be a better grade.
Yikes, a D
Oh.
with DeJuan Jones. A+ with Sidney Brown. Look at that, though. I mean,
Yeah.
boys.
It's definitely because of like they're projected to go 48 and 58. We got them at 91 and 130.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah.
I think that's the only reason why it's like that.
But look at that. Not bad.
I love that draft, guys. That's a good one. Oh, wait. DeJuan Jones, why did we get a D? What the hell?
So
I think-
he's the
I think you
44th
could-
ranked player.
You could
And
draft.
Anton Harrison was available, so
Yeah.
it's hard to
Wow.
I probably would have picked Harrison, but we just did it for fun because we picked Harrison already. So
Right. That's
Yeah.
2 of our prospects right there, guys. I love it.
yeah,
Kind
Yeah.
of cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
pretty solid.
All
Fun
right.
day.
Oh, man, guys, where
Yeah.
are we at? A little over 2 hours. Got to be up there with one of our longest
How do we
shows.
do that? How do we just do this?
Oh, man, I don't know. It's just a natural thing. Just talking about football, good stuff. Yeah, I got to get out of here. I got to take the little boy out for some food. He's been waiting patiently, but this was fun. Good stuff. Next week, we get into the centers. We're going to finish up that old line next week with some centers, and these drafts are going to get better and better because as we talk about these guys, we're going to try to draft these guys that we are talking about. So it's going to be fun. Appreciate you, all of you. If you're new to the channels, Red, White, and Bills, Go Bills Podcast, Nickel City Mafia, drop a like, put a comment out there. Tell us who you like. I mean, were we crazy with some of the guys that we had as targets? Do you have some other targets, some sleepers that you have? Love to hear it. And, and most importantly, subscribe to all our channels. In the description of the shows here, we have links for each of the channels. So please work your way over and hit that subscribe button. Guys, let's get it going. Let's get out of here. It's been a long night, but it was a fun night. It's a long night, but a fun night.
I love it.
And let's get ready for centers next week. So take care, everyone. Appreciate you out in the channel. I think we lost some folks out there. They're like, man, these guys 2.5 hours. I got to get to bed. It's like what is it on the East Coast right now?
It's 11:30ish almost.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
11:30.
It's Friday night.
The Big L, somebody stayed around with us. I see a few watchers. Big L, did you make it? Timmy, did you make it through the end? Who is out there still watching us? That'd be fun to know. Anyone? Anybody gonna chime in and tell us? Brave enough? Maybe some new folks watching for the first time? No, they're all running now. I just saw us drop off another one. They're like,
oh no.
I'm not going to be brave enough. All right, well, let's go, guys. Go Bills. Thank you, guys. It's fun as always. I'll see you next week on our next show.
Oh, yeah. Go Bills.
Go Bills, guys.
Let's do it.
I'm going to finish it off with the best outro on any channel.
I was
there we
hoping
go.
you'd say so.
There we go.
Bills Mafia, circling the wagon, you feel me? Nickel City Mafia, let's go!
Josh Allen, quarterback supreme, leading the Bills to the top of the league. Weapons by his side, and that defense hella mean. Buffalo's got a team that must be seen. I said Buffalo's got a team that must be seen. Yeah. Come on. J17 leading the charge. Buffalo Bills on the rise. Passing game on point. Ain't no mirage. Happening right in your eyes. Ain't no surprise. Buffalo stacking the QB. Stephon Diggs something in the past. Group cars in. Have to go deep. We're circling wagon. Just wait and see. From Wyoming to the NFL. Josh Allen's got the skills. Air raid. Deep ball. Touchdowns for real. Leading the Bills to playoff thrills. Real time. This ain't no drill. Cold game. We're giving them chills. Check the score. Now you know the deal.
Nickel City Mafia.